This is the Mountainside Podcast, and joining us in studio for this episode is my friend Whitney Johns. She's a fitness icon, amateur boxer, health and fitness coach, and just an awesome person to hang out with. This was a great conversation. It was the first time Whitney and I were able to sit down where there wasn't a ton of people around us. This was a great episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope that you do as much as I did. You're the 158th episode, so we've been doing like one a week for fucking 4 years.
That's
in
so
April
awesome.
It'll be 4 years. Cheers.
Let's do it. Cheers.
Welcome to the Mountainside.
Thank you so much for having me.
This has been a long time coming.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember meeting you at Chris's after party for one of his fights and was very much wanting to make the conversation happen. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, those fights are... I think that's some of the most fun that I've had just because of the collective group of our mutual friends that we were just talking about.
Yes. It's such a small world of just great people in Denver, in the fighting scene particularly.
Well, not even that. Like some of our mutual friends that like flew in for the fight.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was people that came out of the woodwork, you know, off the Western Slope. And
well, it's so exciting to watch. I, on the other hand, as... you know, that is my man in there doing bare knuckle fighting. I need to be like pretty much 3 sheets to the wind because I'm nervous.
I can imagine.
It is sketchy. It's scary. But he's been killing it and crushing it every time. I'm like, let's just stay on that kind of like not a lot of damage kick that you're on. If we're going to keep doing the bare knuckle thing, please. First round knockouts from now on would be great.
Which is totally shocking to me, watching him go against Lorenzo Hunt.
Yes.
For 5 rounds. Yeah. Right? Should have been 6, really.
I know.
It's such bullshit.
Don't get me started on that whole thing.
We can go down that path with Chris later. But yeah, it's just... I mean, I was surprised when he showed up at the after party. He looked fucking great.
He was,
He was ready to go.
Honestly, it was funny because the next morning, actually, we had to go to my dad's wedding. Okay. Mm-hmm. Literally, we had to leave for the airport at like 5 a.m. the next morning. And I was like, Dad, are you serious? Can we not like reschedule? He's like, you want me to reschedule my fucking wedding? I'm like, yeah. This is a title fight. World title, bro. So he
in bare knuckle boxing.
Exactly. And I'm like, do you want him to come like showing up looking like Frankenstein? And he's like, well, he's not because he's just that good. So I'll see you at my wedding. So the morning, we, of course, were after partying. We had a lot of people fly in town, like you said. Yeah. So, of course, we're trying to host, but we're exhausted. We get to bed, I think, probably 4 a.m. We wake up, you know, we get maybe a half an hour nap.
Well, I think we left the bar at like 3 a.m.
Yeah. And we had to be like out the door at 5. And poor Chris he did not have bad damage at all. However, there's still some damage. And there was some like oozing. There was a weird scratch on his face that I just was looking at him in bed and I'm like, he looks so peaceful and I don't want to wake him up. But I'm like, I feel so bad. I'm like, you know what? We don't have to go. Let's just stay home. Everyone will understand. It'll be fine. He's like, no, we're going to your dad's wedding. He made that happen, which just won even more points with my family that he would literally walk into the wedding with, you know, bruised and a little bit
He's a good man.
He's just solid. So it was extra dramatic effect for the wedding, actually.
Hell yeah.
So
it's funny, my daughter just got her first black eye from school.
Oh my gosh. A little bitch. Doesn't that just make you want to
I was furious.
Jump in there? I feel like that would be so hard as a parent to not just want to get in there and start fighting their battles for them.
I'll tell you more off mic because I don't want to drag like there's a whole deal with like the school and this kid that's been picking on her. Like he's a little bully. Yeah, it was a little bully, right? So I feel bad because obviously there's something going on at home. If this kid is in kindergarten and knows how to like haul off and hit a girl, right?
Totally.
So she's been punched several times. So I just told her, hey, the next time he does it,
kick him in the nuts.
Give him the old jab cross, you know? Like, she comes out and hits the heavy bag with me every once in a while and stuff. So, like,
no, have her kick,
she knows what's up.
Kick him in the nuts.
Right.
That's a nuts shot.
I think she solved the problem, so I think it's been solved now. But still.
I hate that. Like, bullying with kids makes me furious. It makes me want to cry every time I hear these stories.
She took it like a champ.
Kids are rough. The kids are mean now.
Yeah.
I thought they were mean back when we were kids.
It's a different world now, right? With social media.
The bullying never stops. It's online. It's like, you know,
How
I feel
often
for
do you
kids.
get bullied now? Because I get not bullied, but I get just fucking a ton of hate for just being on here and being myself.
Just existing. Oh, I know. Me too. All day, every day.
But I think that
something.
people are genuinely jealous of like the people that I get to have in here. Like, so for me to have Derek Wolf sit across from me and have a conversation with him for 2 hours uninterrupted, or Chris, like most people would kill for that. So I think that there's that element.
It is a like, I don't know. It's a jealousy thing. I've had to really, over the years, because I've kind of been on the public platform and in the public forum and public eye for a while. I've done social media for over a decade. So dealing with off and on haters online, I have learned to really have to like separate from that and like really have some strong mental boundaries with myself on how much I allow it to penetrate my energy at all. Like, you literally have to just remember it has nothing to do with you. Take nothing personally. This is a them problem, and I am not going to take on their stuff. Whatever it is that they are dealing with that day, it is not my responsibility. It is not my burden to carry. Fuck off. You're blocked. Goodbye. Like, see you later. Sometimes you can't block them. So sometimes, you know, but it's like, I just try to eliminate it from my energy or awareness at all.
It's a good outlook. I mean, do you read all the comments and stuff? Because I try not to. Like, I try to employ people to do that for me, right?
Yes.
But it's somehow I still see them every once in a while.
Yes.
Or
I have, you know, my team members they do a pretty good job of fielding a lot of it or deleting a lot of like comments. And, you know, because I got into fighting a little bit last year, and that's
one of the things I want to talk to you about. So we're going to bookmark this, but
well, that was a whole other level of bullying online. I wouldn't call it bullying. It's just assholes spreading hate, right? So it was a whole other level up from what I was even accustomed to in all my years online of the hate that comes your way. And I made the mistake of continuing to read the comments and continuing to look at it. And then I finally got to a point where I'm like, I will no longer do that because it's totally useless. It does nothing for me. It's not productive at all. And all it does is get in my head a little bit. So I've had to create boundaries with myself around just like, look, people on my team field the comments. If there's nasty DMs, I don't want to see them. So you have to protect your energy at the end of the day.
100%. Like, nothing puts you in. For me, I just kind of block it out. Like, it's white noise. Like, it's sometimes, this is what I think with all like the troll farms and the bots and all this stuff. Sometimes I just always like put it in my mental forefront, I guess, that maybe this person's not even real, you know,
totally.
like, or whatever, or they're just looking for some sort of attention. So this is the fastest way to get to it. But I guess like the one thing that I will say about social media is I am scared to death of it for my children, but I love what it has done for me. So I'm not going to hide it from them. And I feel like if you take something away from like kids, or like if you don't show them what it actually is, or if you try to make them live this sheltered, strict life. Totally. Right?
It's going to go the opposite way.
100%.
I grew up Mormon, okay? And you are restricted in almost every single way as a Mormon kid growing up. And
Really? You grew up Mormon?
I grew up Mormon. Can you believe it?
This is exactly why I wanted to have you on. Because of all the time that we've spent together. I mean, there's a lot going on, right? Yep. Like there's bare knuckle fights, there's bar annex, there's all kinds of shit going on the couple times that I've hung out with you. So this was more about getting to know Whitney. But I would have never guessed
Peel
that.
Peel the layers of the onion. There's a lot of them there.
Yeah. I never would have guessed that.
I know. Most people wouldn't. They kicked me out a long time ago, but just kidding. I left.
Well, you know what's funny about that is one of my favorite cities to go to and party with my background, like as a rock and roll touring guy, Salt Lake was fucking incredible because those people go ham.
They go.
So like you put them behind a closed door.
You try to lock up a caged animal for too long, and then they're coming out, unleash the beast. Like that
with the 3-2 beer and the, you know,
the less percentage of alcohol in Utah, they will still rage their face off. They would make up for lost time. And that's what I mean is like you were saying with kids, you can't shelter and repress anyone. It starts to come out in all kinds of insidious, weird ways. So it can turn into compulsions that would not otherwise be there, because I don't think it's healthy for any human to be repressed in so many different ways, like for just being a human being. That was one of the reasons why I realized I had to leave the church. And I'm grateful in many ways that I grew up that way, because it taught me a lot of great values. They're great people, but it was the repression and the guilt and the fear and the fear tactics. It was just like, that doesn't agree with my soul, to be honest. Like, that energy is so icky and it's so unproductive and actually really backfires.
I don't actually know that much about the Mormon religion. I have a lot of close friends that were actually Mormons at one time. Some of them are rock stars now.
Yeah.
Like
probably drug
I worked for the Killers for years. No, they were.
I'm joking.
But they still like practice like they're Mormon. Like Brandon, the lead singer, still. I don't know if he's still like active.
Interesting.
But I don't know how you can be, because isn't it like a super strict?
Very.
Like no premarital sex, correct. No drugs, no
alcohol,
and your pastors are like checking in on you or something.
Yeah,
like
ever and constantly. Especially if you go to like a church school, okay. Like I went to BYU actually for 2 years.
Oh, no shit.
I'm the one in my dorm room, like smoking weed, blowing it out the window, hoping that my roommates were going to tell on me, and then I realized, like, what am I doing? Because I'm an adult, and that you have to keep having these interviews with your church leadership to basically make sure that you're still worthy to go to that school. And it gets really kind of invasive, and it's sort of like...
So they're dictating whether you can stay in college or not?
Yes.
And how are they doing that? Through your parents? Or is it like... What happens? Do they kick you out of the church? Or?
They can, yeah. There's like disciplinary actions for certain levels of sinning, and, if you... And I agree, like with the school, it's like you have a code of conduct that you're expected to operate by, which is fine. And everybody agrees, like, but it's kind of crazy the way that they monitor your every move. And for me, I'm like, what am I doing? I'm an adult. Like, why is this even something that I'm like pandering to at all? Like, it was really eye-opening actually to go through that experience. And that's when I finally left the church, because I knew from the time I was really young that I did not belong.
Is this something that goes like generationally deep in your family
Yes.
as well? Okay. Always seems to be the case. Like, it's like a generational thing that just...
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Is polygamy still like a thing? Because that's like one of the biggest... Sorry, I got a million questions now. This is my own thing. Like...
Well, polygamy is like
that's what everybody thinks. That's what I hear is like...
It's a different sect of the religion. So it's like there was the original group of Mormons, and then it kind of split into two different versions of that. And one was like the polygamous Mormon, and one was the Mormon that I grew up in. So the Latter-day Saints is what they call themselves. So they've outlawed polygamy in that sect of Mormonism. However,
and is that the general Mormon population? Is
generally, yes. Okay. Like the ones in Salt Lake City, and like most of the population of U.S. Mormons are LDS.
Okay.
And then there's it's a little bit more of a rare group, but they kind of look Amish, dress Amish, have like bonnets, they still practice polygamy. It's really interesting. They have like the whole commune living situation.
God, the Mormon girls that I've known in my life are just
freaks.
Crazy. I mean, this actually explains a lot about you now, not to label you, but like, no, it's crazy. Like if you try to oppress somebody from something, it's like you go harder in the paint or something, or just tenfold.
Well, it's a rebellion thing. It's kind of like nobody wants to feel shamed. I think the root of it is toxic shame. And I had a lot of therapy to teach me about toxic shame. And I think that was the root of why a lot of, like, you'll see this with Mormons that leave the church, is like this unleashing of just pent up, but then they still feel conflicted about it, because deep down they've been kind of brainwashed to still feel bad about being a human being. So I think you really have to wrap your head around the shame that you have about your beliefs and like going against them, even, and it's a lifelong,
is that something journey that still lingers with you? Not to get too personal, or how did you transition through that? Because I think that could be important for anybody listening that is in a similar situation. And there's a ton of religions out there that are not, it's not just Mormonism. Am I saying that?
Mormonism, yeah.
It's not just Mormonism. I mean, there's a ton of religions out there that follow kind of a very similar model where you can be like, you can go to church and people won't talk to you because you've sinned, or
right.
You know what I mean? Like you're kind
of
like
the social outcast system that I think is like the most unfortunate part of it, because that's at the root. They're supposed to be Christ-like, which is treat your neighbor with love and respect and like be kind to others. And I think that with most religion in general is, in my opinion, it gets morphed by ego and I'm better than you and I'm going to judge you, and you lose the real principle. Which isn't
the root concept of it. Yeah, that's exactly
the root. Like, let's get back to the basics of just being kind to others. Like, who gives a shit if they had sex before they're married? Like, are they a nice person? Do they treat others with respect? Do they have, do they put more love into this world than the toxicity that you're bringing to the table with all your judgment? So it was just, yeah. And like with to answer your question, the toxic shame is definitely something over my years. I'm 37 now, and I think I really had a really long journey of like sorting through that. Even though I never second guessed my decision to leave the church, I think it's always still something that you have to just look inward and make sure that you're not operating from a place of rebellion out of toxic shame and like projecting that out into the world, right? So still making healthy choices, and instead of coming from a place of rebellion, coming from a place of self-love, and I'm not betraying myself with my actions, I'm sticking true to what feels good to me instead of this rebellious fuck you kind of action. So I think I had to go through a lot of those motions of like, am I making decisions for my own like good and my own highest good instead of just out of anger and resentment for what I've been held back from,
Yeah, no, I think that's a great outlook and a great way to tackle that. And I think that, do you also think though that maybe being raised that way and having some of those role models, that it does give you a little bit, because I know some people that have gone way off the deep end, like to the point of suicide and serious addiction problems, that didn't grow up in religious families too. Like they almost sometimes seem like the worst. It seems like my friends that grew up in a super strict religious background, like they might have dibble dabbled, but they never stayed there. You know what I mean? Like some of my other friends that didn't have good
any direction
influence, right? Just went
totally. And I think those are two real opposite sides of the spectrum, and there's a balance somewhere in the middle. I really love when I see parenting where they show them by example. They don't tell them what to do. And obviously I'm not a parent, so I can't, like, I know it's a lot harder
I think that's the number one philosophy. I agree with you 100%. When you do have kids, and if you do have kids and you're listening to this, like the best way to show them how to do something is to lead by example.
Right.
Like,
and like let you govern yourself. And obviously, I mean, I still believe in getting your ass kicked if you're a little shit. I grew up that way.
Agreed.
Like we took hard discipline, and I think it kept me in line. So I think that there's a balance, and who knows, like if we ever go down that road with parenting, I'm sure it'll be it's a lot easier to talk about than to actually put in action. But the healthiest dynamics that I see in families are like when there's not a dictation of like, this is how you should be and this is the right way and the wrong way, and then there's shame about it. It's like, look at how much better your life can be when you make just the right choices. And I'm going to show you by my own actions. So yeah, I
think that, and accountability and responsibility is big too. Those are my principles. I'm no super parent. I'm probably doing it totally wrong, but what do you think, Jeremy? Jeremy's got a couple kids too, so.
Is this thing picking me up?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm seat of the pants guy, man.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I kind of am too.
I don't know how it is. I don't know how it is that my kids are so good though.
That's awesome.
Like if you
well, I think you give them freedom to fuck up, right?
Yeah,
like, that's kind of my thing.
I've talked to them like they were
adult,
kind of not adult, but like partners in the whole
You're part of the team.
Part of the team since they're.
That's kind of what I was
that.
getting about with like accountability.
Which can sometimes sound pretty harsh. Like, but my kids are the most polite, well-mannered.
They are.
Shake your hand.
That's why I wanted to ask you.
I love that.
But you look at me and it's like, dude, I'm running through life with my shoes on.
Oh my god, dude! If my kids actually knew what I did, like at their age,
totally.
yeah, I'm not even gonna name it on here,
Yeah,
but I was well down the path of like Metallica, you know, like I was Beavis and Butthead, yeah,
Totally.
that was it.
I love it.
So I guess diving into your background, because we get to spend this time together now. How did you leave that background and turn into a goddess of fitness and being on magazine covers and just going down that whole path? Like,
Yeah.
where did you go from Utah? Did you come straight to Colorado?
No, I've only been in Colorado for like 3 years. Actually almost 4 now. But I left BYU. I was still trying, like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but I kind of knew I didn't really belong there. And then I kind of got my confirmation once I was there. I was like, okay, I have to go. And at the time I started dating somebody long distance in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to move to Florida and see if I like it. And if I don't, then I can always come back. But I need to get out of the community. It was not just the church that you go to. It's not just being around your family. It's everyone. I was living in Utah, right? So it was like I had to get completely out of that community and the social pressures around it and just figure out, like, who the fuck am I? What do I actually believe? What makes me actually happy? And I can't do it with all this noise, right? So I left. I went to Florida. I lived in Florida for 2 years.
Well, that's letting it rip.
Yeah.
And I did. And I went down, to be completely frank, I went down a very experimental phase of just trying everything, trying every drug, trying all the experiences, trying just to figure out, like, what do I like? What do I want? What is for me? And so I did kind of have a little bit of a crazy phase for a minute. But it was
that
spiritual
hard,
in nature. As weird as that sounds, it was like I was on a spiritual quest. Like, it was a lot of plant medicine and a lot of just like trying to find my own version of spirituality and my own getting in touch with what I found to be like a divine power. And I did a lot of that through drugs, to be quite honest. Not that I would 10 out of 10 recommend that to everyone, but
I think it is a way to kind of figure that out, or to gain a different perspective in life, because I think in life you just put on the blinders.
Yeah.
You enhance
It
something
helped
with
me
alcohol
tap into, especially with, like, the plant medicine and, like, with like mushroom, like psilocybin and LSD and things like that were originally created to kind of tap into new neural pathways in your brain. So for me, I did a lot of research around that. And for me, it was like, well, let me go down this path. It's not that I was like doing, crazy hard drugs. It was more the plant medicine stuff. I mean, I did a few I dabbled here and there, but for the most part, it was more like just trying to figure what I believed in. And then I moved to San Francisco for a couple years, continued down that experimental path as a San Francisco citizen would do. And then at that point, I was like, I need to figure out really, like, what I want to do with my career, and I really needed to figure out how to, like, now be a real adult. And I was actually, so Los Angeles, the Peter Pan syndrome. I'm like, let me go move to LA and figure out.
I did the same fucking thing. I grew up here, like, super, like, I was never going to make it here. Like, nobody ever made it from here, which actually a lot of musicians
are
professional from
right.
Evergreen right here, which is crazy. But I fell into the music industry and I moved to Hermosa Beach at like 18 or 19.
How long were you there?
For like 20 years.
Nice, yeah.
Met my wife there. I wasn't there much though, because I was touring. So I was touring with like punk bands and that sort of thing. And then it turned into working for divas and major rock bands and rap stars and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I did the LA thing for like 8 years.
I loved her most. I couldn't stand LA.
Yeah, LA turned into a lot, and but I did enjoy it for the time that I was there, and I knew that I wanted to be, I was still doing some freelance modeling stuff and some acting stuff at the time, and once I was there, I kind of figured out, you know what, I don't like acting enough to sacrifice what you need to sacrifice in order to like really make it in this business, and I don't frankly think I'm good enough at this. So what would really make me happy? That's when I got into fitness. I kind of got into training and kind of became more of like a celebrity trainer there. Fitness was always like the thing that really kind of saved my life when I was in some really gnarly positions in life. Like when I was kind of going through this whole metamorphosis of figuring out who I was and what I believed, I had some really dark, low times and struggled with the mental health and the toxic shame and just figuring out which way is up. And the only thing that really turned things around for me was fitness, wellness, supplementation, figuring out how to actually feed my body the right nutrition and supplement with the right things to help my brain health so that I wasn't having these crazy, panic attacks or suicidal ideations. And like I realized how connected that stuff was. And so
it's a lot more connected than I think people realize.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, like the general public, like
your health and
insane.
What you put into your body, your brain,
cognitive function.
That's one of the reasons why I'm so like in my coaching, because now I'm in fitness coaching. It's so much based around hormone health and gut health, because gut health is literally like your second brain, because it literally creates the neurotransmitters in your mental health, right? So it's so connected. I realized how connected that it was, and it brought me out of a really dark place. So anyways, when I got to LA, that's when I decided, you know what? This is my purpose. This is the story I have to tell. This is how I can help others, and teaching them and giving them the tools to like turn their shit around if they were in a place like I ever was. So that's when I really got heavy into the fitness scene in LA. And, continued the modeling and the fitness modeling because it was a good marketing strategy as well. It helped me build an audience, and it helped me with, getting into the fitness modeling, help build my business at the end of the day. And so I started then social media kind of became a bigger thing. Back then it was like, okay, I'm really going to like focus my efforts here and then build up my fitness and my coaching business. So that was kind of the long answer to like after I left the church, like how I kind of sorted it out. But I'm glad that I went through that, because I think I had to it really teaches you how to be a strong individual on your own, no matter what other people think. Because I had a lot of people in my ear telling me that I was making all the wrong decisions. And I made a lot of wrong decisions and a lot of mistakes, and I paid for them myself. But I had to learn how to be a strong person on my own, no matter what anybody else wanted for me. So I think it was a very valuable lesson to learn at a young age.
Were your parents supportive at that point when you were in LA and trying to, or move to Florida and stuff, or were you on your own?
They, luckily my family is pretty amazing. They are, at the end of the day, they weren't happy, and they thought that I was, making the wrong decision. And, in many ways I'm still living in sin to them, and I'm probably not going to heaven in their eyes because of my life choices. And so that's kind of hard to think about. But at the same time, I think we just kind of had a powwow at some point. It was like, look, at the end of the day, I love you. You're my family. Are we going to have a relationship still? Or are we going to let this stuff stand in the way? And so we've always, from then on, for the most part, had a pretty solid relationship. And they kind of just knew I was going to do what they knew my personality is there's really no talking to her. So we can either be in her life or not. And I think that they ended up respecting we just respected our difference in beliefs. And so it worked out.
That's,
fortunately,
I can
there's a lot of
relate to that,
families
though,
that don't. You will be outcast completely, which is really sad. Because at the end of the day,
especially in that religion.
Yeah.
Right?
And ultimately, a religion's supposed to be about bringing families together. It's supposed to be all about family. So that was another discrepancy that I would see.
Well, I think at that point, you kind of a lot of people end up living like two lives. They live their life at church and they live their life at home.
Totally.
And,
yeah,
I don't know. We don't even need to go down this path, but like I grew up in a crazy situation where my mom, dated rock stars and bikers, and my dad was a biker, and she did the exact opposite when she had my half brothers and sisters, and went down the path of finding somebody that was super religious, but he was a different person behind closed doors,
right.
like super
the double
abusive,
life.
like
Totally.
groomer, like you would never know that this guy, like catching him at the store, at church, or whatever, he was the nicest guy in the world.
Totally.
But behind closed doors would
a
lay on top of my mom, read the Bible to her, and punch her.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like the fucking.
That's gnarly. I'm sorry that you had to even see any of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it has helped me ultimately be a stronger person in life, for sure.
And it'll show you what you don't want to be.
And it made me a protector in life too. Like I'm very much still like, I will throw myself in front of a bullet for really anybody just because I naturally have that protection. Like
totally.
And it's faulted me too. It's gotten me in some bad situations that I probably shouldn't have been in, but yeah, I think that, to bring it back to my point, just, be conscious of who you surround yourself with and who your children are surrounding themselves with, or your friends even.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole double life thing is interesting.
Yeah.
It can breed that. A lot of that can really breed that because it's that secrecy and the toxic shame because you're supposed to be operating one way and you're just not that way. So then it turns into this whole, Yeah.
All right. Well, we don't need to go down that path.
This party really died.
I think I need another drink. No, I think one of the things that's most amazing about you is you are a bombshell, incredible body, just like, okay, I'm going too deep right now. I know your boyfriend and he's a friend of mine, so I don't need him to beat me up. Shout out Chris Camozzi. I'm trying to compliment you on that aspect, but I think one of the most interesting things about you, and probably the main reason why Chris picked you, and I'm speaking for Chris right now, is you are super fucking smart.
Oh,
like
thank you.
You're a good person to talk to. You're fun to be around.
Thanks so much.
So, even though you're labeled as like a fitness model or anything, you're more of like an entrepreneur. Like you have your own business. You run your own thing. It's not like you're just there's so many influencers out there that are just like literally hopping from product to product. And that's one thing that I've tried to keep true here is only, plug products that I truly believe in or that I truly use. And then we only partner with companies that I only believe in. And
it's hard to, and I thank you. I appreciate that. It is hard, like in the influencer world. I have such a love-hate relationship with that.
I don't think.
It's interesting because I consider myself more of like a business person who uses social media marketing as a tool as a marketing and for reaching eyeballs, right? So there's a strategy to it and there's a strategy behind it, but it does frustrate me because a lot of times I just get passed off as like just a bimbo in a bikini that just takes pictures all day and that's all I do. Like there's a hustle in 20 different directions and there's always a reason in what I'm doing, but people can, pass their judgments, and I get it. The influencer world and the social media world, I have such a love-hate relationship with because part of me just literally wants to move to like a cabin in Montana with no Wi-Fi and just throw away my phone and never look at it again. But then at the same time, it has afforded me so many opportunities and so many cool things to have, to have my life put on a public platform. So it's a double-edged sword, and sometimes, it is an interesting thing. But I appreciate that. I do like to consider myself an entrepreneur and a serial entrepreneur, and it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. It's not just taking pictures of yourself at the gym. It is a lot that goes into it. You kind of can never turn off because, as even just with like the podcast, you have to constantly be either creating content or you have to be figuring out SEO, how to reach more people. Like you can never really shut off. And so it can be hard to have that life balance of just like shutting my brain off.
I actually did shut it off though.
How did
I mean,
you do
to
it?
a point. Like when I first started, it was kind of like a happenstance, like hobby. And this is one of my next questions for you. It was just something that I thought was a cool idea. And lo and behold, I probably wouldn't have made it this far because the pandemic came on like right after I bought all the equipment and decked out the studio. And it was just like,
Oh, wow.
okay, well, now I guess this is what I'm
Now
doing.
I guess
right?
we're doing
'Cause
Zoom interviews.
I had always said like rock and roll and live entertainment is the industry that'll never die because, you know, it made it through the 2008 recession,
Right.
all that. And actually ticket sales went up. People
Right.
were spending more money on going to see shows, on the little
Crazy.
like things in life, you know, that bring you happiness, like going to movies, that sort of stuff. So I just thought it was an indestructible business. Like I just always thought I'm always going to have this in my back pocket.
Right.
And the pandemic proved that wrong.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
If people can't attend a show, or if you can only
Right.
have so many people in a certain venue or something like
What
that.
a weird
just-
time
yeah.
that was. So weird.
Which was crazy. I mean, it just totally crippled and cut the floor right out from so many people there's millions of people that are employed in that industry.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not just roadies backstage,
Right.
you know,
No.
drinking Jack Daniels and smoking Marlboro Red, sitting
Right.
on a road case. I mean, these guys work their asses off.
Totally.
And they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, you know, and they have families and stuff that depend on them. So anyways, to bring it back to the podcast, at first it was just, I kind of lucked out and grabbed a hold of the reins, and I knew some people here in town, and
It was
all
more
the
just like
celebrities
a
that I
kind
knew.
of like a hobby at first.
It was kind of something that I was like, I only started listening to podcasts maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. Like I really only just listened to music. I didn't really know what a podcast was. I
Yeah.
loved morning radio.
Right.
Like I love KBPI. I don't know if you know them. Like I grew up on that.
Love it.
You know, Willie B in the morning, or there were some guys before him. But so I loved like kind of that aspect because they were reckless and ruthless and just kind of like poking fun at stuff. But then the podcast thing came along. And once I actually started listening to them, I just got addicted. I was like, this is the best thing in media because it's people just having real conversations.
Yeah.
It's not, there's
Overly
no like
produced
yeah.
and yeah, put on. Yes.
So I fell in love with that model. And as much as I tried to stay out of the limelight my entire career, like working for some of the biggest names in rock and roll or in the music industry, they always had these like DVD shoots, and they always wanted to do like a behind the scenes shoot with the crew and like, let me follow you around with the camera. I was like, you can follow me around with the camera, watch me work, but I'm not giving you an interview, because I would just
Interesting.
see him like chop it up and edit it
Just
into this
twist
thing
it. Yeah.
that was, it didn't portray what people really were. It made
Totally.
made all the crew guys kind of look like a bunch of jackasses. So I always was really leery about that. But with podcasting, I was like, if I can have full control over
Yeah.
it and do it the way that I want to do it.
Yeah. And actually use my voice and have it actually be portrayed in the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is interesting. I love podcasting, and I've thought about doing a little bit of that. It's we'll get into that conversation.
Yeah. It takes a lot.
It takes a lot, and it is one of those things where it's like, even with, this might be TMI or oversharing, but like with my career, a lot of it has been a visual medium, right? People want to look at me. They want to look at my body. They don't necessarily want to hear me fucking speak, right? Which is something that is a struggle for me because I have a lot to say.
We can tell. I think it would be great. I think you and Chris should have one. I think that's my whole
It is
thing.
a
I
lot
have
of work,
multiple
though.
now. Like you kind of have to pick and choose what your subjects are.
Totally.
This is showcasing
And your
unique
niche.
individuals.
Yeah.
And the one reason why I wanted to have you on is we haven't had much female influence in here. And it's because I'm only choosing badass people that
Right.
are like crushing it in life. Those are the people that I want to talk to. I want
Right.
to talk to people that are better than me at whatever that they are doing.
Right, right.
And people that I can learn from, and but also at the same time, like people that I can relate with. Like I don't care what your Instagram following is.
Right.
I mean, we had somebody on 2 weeks ago that doesn't even have an Instagram page.
Right.
Like they don't want one.
Right.
Those are the
Which
type
I
of
love
people.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's more about the person sitting across from me. And I guess I kind of got caught up at the beginning of it. We had some sponsorship come in really fast, which was
Really?
awesome. Like shout out to On It.
Oh,
I
nice.
don't know if you're
Yeah.
familiar with them. They were our very first sponsor. And shout out to Coach Mark Montoya and Cameron Haynes because they reshared the podcast and it just turned into this whole like feeding
Nice.
frenzy after 4 episodes. It was crazy. And I think people were dying to listen to something, you know, different,
Yeah.
right? Than just the local news and the pandemic going on. So it
Yeah.
was like, we kind of struck gold a little bit. But then as like some of these other sponsorships came in, they started trying to dictate like, oh, I want you to have this person on or this person works
Right.
for the company. And then I, you know, fell down a few holes where we had to like completely delete episodes
Right.
because I was getting letters from the US government saying that I needed to retract shit that we talked about on the podcast. And
No.
like, I mean, which is kind of cool. I need to get that framed and like put it in here, like on the wall. But so, yeah, so I kind of quickly fell into that trap. And then like maybe like 30, 35 episodes or something like that. And I shouldn't even be numbering these because I genuinely enjoy 99% of the people that I've had sit across from me. And I'm so blessed and have had so many opportunities to, I mean, where else can you sit down? Everybody shelves their phone
Yeah.
and you have a conversation like this.
Exactly.
Like you truly get to know somebody, right?
Yes.
And you kind of build a friendship in here, which is super cool too.
Totally.
So like a lot of the guests, I guess the first thing that I ask when myself is when I'm looking at the guest list or who I want to have on is this somebody that I want to have on multiple times? Is this somebody that's going to interest me over
Create
multiple?
a relationship
Yeah, so I'm
with-
kind of
yeah.
building more of like a tribe or a community, I guess,
Totally.
of those sort of people. So I kind of started to stick with that philosophy. And then also as people were dictating, like, I want you to have this person on and talk to them about this. I was like, that's
Right.
not why I started this.
No.
So now I'm just totally selfish. I kind of forget that we even have an audience. It's literally whoever I want to talk
love
to,
that.
whenever
You don't
I
have to
want.
cater your
I'm going to
message.
ask them any question that I want. It's like my own selfish greed a little
I
bit.
love
But
that.
we have had so much more success, and it's just gone through the
Well, the
roof.
authenticity is there,
Yeah,
and you're
you
not
can't have
just
a
selling
scripted-
out for, you know, and all the creative control is with all these people that are pulling the strings and the puppet strings, and people don't want to listen to that. They
No.
can read right through that.
Even if you just script like questions, like for a while there, I was like kind of like nervous, right? Like some of these, I had like a 2-star general on.
Oh, wow.
So I made like, I
That
wish
is
I wouldn't have.
intimidating.
Yeah, it was super intimidating.
Yeah.
And I was like, and not only a 2-star
Which one
general.
was that? That was early, dude.
Clay Hotmacher.
Yeah.
And he was
No, I
not
remember
only
the name, but I forget.
he
which
worked for
episode.
like he was a general of JSOC. So I don't know how much you know about the military and like
Not
shout
enough.
out to Jason the Butcher, by the way. You
Shout
provided
out,
the hat.
Jason. Thank you for the hat. I was having a bad hair day.
He was a general of the 160 SOAR and operated in the 160 SOAR as a helicopter pilot. So they are the special operations rotary air wing unit that takes SEALs to whatever mission they're going
wow.
to, or Green Berets, or Special Forces,
Badass.
or yeah. So they fly these badass helicopters that are equipped with guns and missiles, and they're like the best pilots
Yeah.
in all of the military. And they fly into some of the, like the craziest situations, like Black Hawk Down. He was involved in like
Wow.
that, like the Osama bin Laden raid, like all kinds of crazy shit. And I had him in to like talk to my dumb like rock and roll ass, you know, like, so that was pretty intimidating. So I started like, you know, laying out a list of questions, and it just doesn't go well because you're like,
Yeah.
if
Well,
you're
it
just
doesn't
in
allow the
tune,
conversation to just be organic. Like the listening aspect goes away.
you nailed it on the head. You just have to listen and have a conversation. Like that's the best way.
It's
like,
so funny. I literally had a live yesterday with
Oh,
this
really?
this exact scenario. So it was, well, not exact because the person I had didn't participate in Black Hawk Down, but it was a doctor that was like, you know, I had been following her for a long time. I was kind of like fangirling a little bit, and I wanted to be super prepared with like the right questions. And I've been trying to do this Instagram live series where we talk about different things to help others get the message about.
I actually watched one of yours that I want to dive into some stuff with you. We might have to do it on another episode. But anyways, sorry, go ahead.
Well, just to your point, it was like, okay, I had this kind of list of questions. And then as soon as she got on, she's like, hey, by the way, like I had something come up. I can only do a half an hour instead of an hour. And I was like, okay. And so then the rest of the conversation, I was not very present with her actual answers because I was like, okay, fuck, which questions am I crossing out? I'm double looking at my notes while I'm trying to listen, but that listening aspect went away. So the conversation just felt so much less organic than had I just kind of riffed it and known general ideas of what I wanted to talk about. It was like, dang it, I should have. You can't overthink organic conversation because people see right through that. And when I watched it back, I was like, that didn't go as well as I wanted it to. You are spot on.
I had to learn that the hard way, and it took me a little while to figure it out.
Well, you can't be present with the person.
Doesn't mean that you can't go. Like, I went to your Instagram page, I think 2 days ago or something, and I've been following you for a while now, but I went and actually just watched some of your reels. I watched one of your lives. So I do that a little bit of like
research,
context. I guess a little bit.
Yes.
It's more of like,
for sure.
I want to find out a little bit more about Whitney and what she's doing. So I really dive into it because honestly, the way that I use social media now with the way that they advertise on it and everything is I will not go and just scroll through the page because I'm going to get distracted. And next thing you know, I'm watching a small person getting bucked off a horse and that gets eaten by a crocodile, right? Mm-hmm. Like my algorithm is fucked. But especially after all the stuff that we talk about in here, because we'll like Google search like YouTube's, like, yeah. I need to start like a separate account for just the podcast because we go down some weird rabbit holes sometime. Especially you get Luke Cadillo in here or somebody like that. It's like fucking
it's like midget porn.
Yeah. It's crazy. So what I do is like, say I want to check in on Chris, I'll just type in the search bar. I don't even look at what's going on below it. I go to my page or whatever and I type in the search bar, Chris Camozzi, and then I can just go through his page. Mm-hmm. But still, they put advertisements on there. They put other people's reels on there on your feed, on your own feed, right?
Right.
It's crazy. You probably have the biggest Instagram following of anybody that we've had on.
Oh, nice.
Is there any sort of monetization at that point? Or
not from Instagram itself. Uh-huh. That's why, you have to be pretty entrepreneurial when it comes to like the avenues on how to monetize. There's a ton of them, but it's like which ones are worthwhile. Mm-hmm. And that's where you have to focus your efforts. But it's more about just bringing eyeballs to your monetized projects. That is kind of how, and I haven't really built up.
Well, you got an easy way to do that. Much easier than I do.
You just got to show a little leg.
Yeah. They don't want to see that.
But yeah, I think
nobody wants to see that.
There are lots of platforms that do monetize just for views and likes and stuff, but that hasn't really been my focus so much.
Yeah. I guess when you first got into social media, this was kind of to bring it back to my original question before we started going down the podcast rabbit hole. And I think that you should start one. I think you guys would be great at it. And surprisingly, I think, people are dying to have just that human interaction and not even be there.
Right.
Like, I think.
Well, it's interesting because we had a podcast producer who basically pitched us and said, I think you guys need a show. You guys have a great, dynamic between you two and whatever. And it was interesting because I had a really interesting visceral reaction and response to that meeting for some reason. Because at first I was like, actually, yeah, like I've been wanting to explore that. And then there was this kind of panic that I had. I don't know if it's just PTSD from previously, like being online for so long and having so much of my life picked apart by people. It was like my relationship with Chris is like one of the only things in life that brings me actual peace and like calm and happiness in my life. And, it's so precious to me. Do I want to invite the masses to come in and pick the one thing that I treasure apart? So for me,
you do have to be very open or it's not genuine.
Yeah.
Right? Like I just shared something about my childhood that some of my best friends don't even know about me, but you put a microphone.
Well, and you have to, and that's what makes podcasting so great. So It's like, if I were to have these reservations about, how open do I really want to be? then you're like censoring yourself, and then it's just not as good as it could be.
Well, I mean, you can create a game just going on other people's podcasts. Like, you're reaching our audience right now.
I love to go on podcasts. That's why when you hit me up, I was like, you know what? And because I've been grinding so hard, I was like, I would just love to go and just have a fucking conversation with a cool ass person. Like, that is medicine to my soul. So I love to be a guest.
Let's go.
Here
Cheers.
we go. I need another drink.
There's some more ice in that Yeti cup right there if you need ice. And I'm going to pour another one here too. So I guess, I'm sorry, I never actually answered the question. Chris is great at podcasting, by the way, too.
He is. And he's really methodical about it too. He's pretty like, he does a lot of the legwork ahead of time.
Maybe you guys need your own separate ones or something then.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? That's still a conversation that I'm deliberating on, and it could be awesome.
Hey, Jeremy, did you see where that bottle of tequila went by chance?
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks, buddy. So I guess when you first got into social media, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
When you first got in, sorry, I'm not used to these things either. Hitting
The
booze
mics.
bottles on them and everything. We used to have these big arms that like came down, but it like impeded the view. You had to like look around them and stuff. So these are new. Yeah.
They're nice.
Yeah, I really like them. Shout out to, I don't know. You have to look up the
Beacon.
Beacon.
Beacon
Is
is the
that the
tequila.
company? No, that's the name of the mic stand.
Oh,
Not a sponsor, but they hooked us up. So
love it.
And they look
So, anyways,
They're
cheers.
expensive too.
Here we go.
Cheers.
Get back to that. If you're not checking out the Mountainside Podcast on YouTube, you absolutely should be. If you like the content that we create here and you want to help support the podcast, please take a moment, subscribe to us on YouTube, and hit that notification bell.
I'm just trying to shed layers now.
I guess when you first got into social media, was it always with a business mindset? Is that
No.
how you grew it? And like,
No, so when I first moved to LA, going back to that kind of journey, so I was in hustle mode because I was also starting over because I was like completely starting over from scratch of like, okay, now I got to survive. I just moved to LA. I have to figure out a completely new situation. So I was working at the club, bottle service. I was, till 4 a.m. And then I was waking up at 7 or 6 a.m. to get to the office by 8 to do sales calls. So I had a sales job, a phone sales job, selling memberships to professional women for like a networking group. And then
pyramid scheme or
it was an interesting networking group. I don't know if it was a scam at this point, but we were hustling. I was slinging memberships, and then I was slinging bottles by night.
Yeah.
And then I was training clients on the side. And so I was working all the time and just kind of really nonstop, really grinding. And in the bottle service scene, and I was still modeling and stuff. And it was just like I had kind of built up a following of just people in LA, and it was more just like bikini pictures and modeling pictures. And it was more just like, here's my body. like most, Instagram accounts for young females can just be a thirst trap place, right? Mm-hmm. And then it was like, wait, what am I doing in terms of, then I started getting a lot of like questions about actual fitness. And it was like, wait, I'm really missing an opportunity here to be marketing my fitness business here. But at that time I was just training people one-on-one. So I was like, well, let me see. I want to get out of these side hustles that I have. Maybe I can make fitness my full-time thing if I just put a little more effort into it. And so I started. I mean,
that's a ton of effort. Like, what did you kind of know, like fitness-wise? Like, that's a huge commitment, right?
Yeah. It was, and a lot of it was like second nature to me, but it's a lot of, you have to be certified and you have like a certain amount of hours and you need to, so I started training at a really high-end club there at Equinox. And I was like, okay, I'm going to hold on to my bottle service job because that's good money, but I'm going to be, just trying to train full-time and build up enough clientele to be my own business for personal training. So I kind of built up a clientele, and then I And then I broke off from that to just do private clients only at a private training gym. And then I was like, I really want to expand online. So I developed my app. It was a Fit with Wit app, was my original app. And it was workout and diet programs. Because I was like, okay, I can't scale this business one-on-one training with clients. I can't grow this. I was charging a lot of money that it was, people in LA. I was working with a really affluent group of people. So I was making good money, but there was a cap. And it was like, the entrepreneur in me is just like, how do I 10x this cap? So that's when I started doing a lot more in the social media marketing space.
This is why you're not just an influencer. I love it.
Yeah, it was just like the business side was just like, how do I make more money and stop trading my time for money? That was my biggest thing. And then once I got into the online space, I was able to really grow it from there. And then I was able to get rid of all my side hustles and stop working 3 jobs. And then it's been really nice. I still have multiple hustles, but they're all online at this point, which has been really nice. It's just way easier to scale. So once I intentionally started marketing on social media instead of just posting hot pictures,
right?
It's like, I'll still throw in the hot pictures, but like you got to be smart about it.
There's so many people that I know firsthand that have built businesses. I mean, it's a big reason why we have some of the audience that we do, I think. Is because there is a visual side of this podcast too, especially now with like short clips and reels and all that sort of stuff. And
it's a visual medium. People like to look, as much as I love to listen, you like to look and see. Like the first place I went was like, okay, let me look at some of your clips and like what is the vibe and the energy of the podcast.
It's all over the place, huh?
No, you're pretty on brand.
There's a lot of testosterone.
There's a lot of testosterone.
Yeah. We're not changing that, by the way, either. So you can turn this shit off if you don't like it. I think you fit into that model. So speaking of like testosterone and like hormonal stuff, I know that you're big on that being a part of fitness is your health, mental health, hormone change, like having the right vitamins to create the right hormones. Like it's crazy, right? I think that one of the things that I see a lot of and that I struggle with some of these influencers, especially in the fitness world, is it's like these fast hacks to cut corners that might get you immediate gain.
Totally.
But you could be wrecking your immune system. You could be wrecking your hormonal balance. You could be wrecking so many different things. What is, I guess, because you've been doing this so long, proven, tried and true, how do you approach that with your clients? How do you approach like all those sort of like...
Well, it's interesting because I definitely came from buying into a lot of these shortcuts and hacks. I did bodybuilding, so I did professional bodybuilding.
No shit.
Yeah. So back...
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So
But at like a professional level?
Yeah.
I got my fucking grueling.
Yes. It is an extreme sport. Extreme. And
we got to dive off into that for a minute.
Yeah, it is intense. And it taught me so much about just foundational training and how to really change your body composition. So it was really valuable in so many ways, but it also wrecked me. It wrecked my hormones.
Well, you're on death's doorstep pretty much going into like a competition, right? Because
literally
you're dehydrating yourself.
So dehydrated. Your body fat is minuscule and you have, your hormones go crazy because you are in this place of severe overtraining, right? To achieve the look that it requires to step onto a stage, you have to be doing massive amounts of cardio on top of, a massive amounts of weight. The inflammation in your body is going crazy. Your hormones are fucked. Your metabolism, there's a lot of metabolism or metabolic damage that occurs in order to get on stage. So this is why you'll see a lot of bodybuilders in their off season just blow up, because you can only maintain that level of like intensity for so long before you're going to crash, right?
How many of those people are using performance enhancing drugs?
A lot.
Supplements are performance enhancing drugs, I guess, to a point. It's just there's severity in some, like if you're using Dynabol, for example, or something like that, like you're going to see 10x results, right? Like it's
I mean, and using steroids and stuff is super, super common in bodybuilding, especially at the really high pro levels. Like one of the reasons why I switched to WBFF was a different organization, but it was just I had tried IFBB, which is, or NPC and IFBB, which is,
damn, is that you?
That's me. Yeah, that
doesn't even look like you though.
But that was actually last year.
Was it?
Yeah, that was.
Oh, that was for your fight.
That was a weigh-in for my fight.
I remember this. Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, like
that's a weird angle of a photo though, or something.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I was hella shredded that fight as well.
Well, you're always shredded,
and I stayed pretty shredded, but it was a different level of like metabolic damage for the bodybuilding days. I wonder if there's like bodybuilding. It was like seriously like 8 years ago or 9 years ago.
Look at all the magazine covers too. Muscle and Fitness. Damn.
Oh, see, there's one. So that one on left, dealing with a loss. So that is when I switched to the WBFF, where I allowed for a lot more muscle. So that was on, that was when I got my pro card for WBFF. But it allowed for a lot more muscle without having to go like, there's different divisions, right? It's kind of like weight classes in boxing or in fighting. And so it was like, I either needed to be extremely skinny shredded, which I am a naturally very muscular person, but I didn't, so it was either that or the hyper buff, like big weight class for the women. And for me, it was like there was no in between. I didn't fit in either of those categories. Me trying to get down to bikini for NPC, IFBB category was like 2 hours of cardio a day, 1,200 calories a day for months. And it was just like, at that point, your body is like, fuck you. Like, I need food, I need a nap, I need some serious like inflammation control. And I paid for it after my bodybuilding contest because your hormones will just be whacked for months. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so adamant about preaching about nurturing your hormone health, because ultimately you will actually have your results stick around a lot longer if you
are you working with
extremes.
Men and women,
yes,
or
both.
just women specifically?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually love working with my male clients as well, because it's, I think it's hard to navigate as a female 100%. And there's so many things that females do wrong when it comes to a fitness journey, like starving themselves or feeling like they just can't eat anything. It's complete opposite. If you want to build muscle tone, you actually just need to know the right way to eat. And then for men, it's like so many men are wanting to, like, they want to build that physique of their dreams, but they don't want to have to go to the extremes. Sometimes they don't want to buy into like the machismo trainer vibes. And it's like, so I have a good balance. It's predominantly female, but I love working with men as well. But I think it's just, if you learn the right ways to do it, and then to actually like sustain your results, you're going to have to do it in a way that's healthy for your body, where you're not going into these extremes. So, and then it carries over into your mental health. That is the biggest thing, is like when your body is running well and you are feeding it with the right things, and you're taking care of your gut health, and you're, you have your inflammation under control. It's like, then your brain works better. You're a happier person. You're not dealing with all kinds of mental health crises because your body's just operating the way that it needs to be. It's very interconnected. And so one of the reasons why I'm with my supplement line, so I have a supplement line that's based around hormone health, gut health, brain health are the biggest like factors. And it's different from a lot of other fitness supplement lines. It's not the typical fat burner, pre-workout protein. It's, okay, how do we actually like nurture these internal health markers?
I'm a huge fan of nootropics.
Yeah.
Like ever since we signed on with
I had a box of my nootropics that I was going to bring you, and then I forgot.
I love them all. I really do.
Send you a box.
I use the Alpha Brain stuff from On It.
It's great.
Jocko
Great
Fuel.
stuff.
I don't know if you've had one of their energy drinks. I'm
No.
sorry we don't have one here to offer you. This is
Never had it.
Jocko. If you're listening to this, send us some damn drinks.
Send me some.
Yeah, they taste like candy, and it's nothing but vitamins. There's a little bit of caffeine in it.
Nice. Yeah.
Which I think caffeine is a natural nootropic as well, right?
Yeah, especially when you pair it with the right ingredients.
Yeah. But anyways, the Jocko Go's have a nootropic
Nice.
little.
Yeah.
Am I saying that
Nootropics
right?
are the way to go.
Nootropics.
Nootropics. Yeah, nootropic. Yeah, either way. I'm like a very ADD person, and I was, so I had grown up, well, not grown up, but there were times in my life where I had taken Adderall as the crutch for my ADD. And there's so many horrible effects that Adderall has in terms of like side effects and the way that it affects your brain. And so once I discovered nootropics, I was totally sold and such a believer, and that's one of the reasons why I created the Brain Activate product. It's great for energy. You can use it for pre-workout because it turns your brain on, but you don't get that cracked out feeling where that agitation that some of these ADD medications give you. It just kind of naturally works with your brain to lift the brain fog and to get that clarity that you need.
It's
so much better.
Crazy cognitively what that does, but also I think it's layering, right? And I could be wrong, but I'm speaking from my own personal experience. I pretty much went to a straight carnivore diet.
How did you like that?
Fucking love it.
Did you?
I needed.
You feel better on it?
I do. I did strictly carnivore for 100 days. I was working with Dr. Sean Baker. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Sure.
He's kind of taking the carnivore like spokesman seat, but from a medical standpoint. He was a military doctor, incredible guy. I can't wait to have him on the podcast. But long story short, I did it for 100 days to get my body just kind of back to a baseline because I needed to lose a lot of weight.
Did you?
And I did. I lost a shit ton of weight.
Did you? Nice.
So now I'm kind of more following like a paleo diet, like hardly any carbs, mostly like good fats is kind of the fuel replacement.
I like
a
paleo.
little bit of fruit here and there, but primarily like 80-90% of it just meat. Not a whole lot of vegetables though.
Interesting, yeah.
But it was crazy. I did that for 100 days. My blood pressure just dropped off crazy. Like hypertension runs in my family, and to the point where genetically in my family, men have had widowmaker heart attacks at like 40, 50 years old, and I'm 44.
Right.
So it was time for me to kind of start looking at that. It was kind of like an eye-opening thing. It was like, plus, I think I just wanted to feel better, really.
Totally.
But cognitively, that's what I was talking about, like layering it. Cognitively, I feel like a fucking animal on the carnivore diet. Like if I only eat meat, it's almost too aggressive. Like my wife was like what the fuck is going on with you? I was like the Kool-Aid man coming into fucking everywhere, like it was a little
relaxed.
Yeah. But carbs, on the other hand, like, so if I have carbs, it doesn't matter what amount of caffeine, nootropics, anything like that. Like, I have this like brain fog that happens. But if I have like a high fat diet, it's
I
like
work
cognitively, I just work way better. And then I kind of naturally started, I guess, intermittent fasting with the carnivore diet, because when you look at food as fuel, it's not as appealing. Just to, if you're pleasure eating, it's one thing, right? Like if everything tastes good, but if you're just eating for fuel at that point, it's like, fuck, I can't eat another steak right now. All right. So I got down to the point where I was eating like once or twice a day. I was only eating when I was hungry, and I would eat a lot during that like portion of that setting. But I found cognitively, if I fasted, like sometimes I would go to the gym and I would break like PRs, or coming in here and doing a podcast fasted is so much better.
Your brain is very like...
I think it's, as a man, and I don't know if I would be curious to see some studies on this, if it boosts testosterone or something.
Yeah.
It makes you more alert, a little bit more angry, right? Because you're not content. You're not like settled. Like, I think we live a pretty sedentary life nowadays with like, comparative to what we did, hundreds of years ago, right? Like there was no like, go and sit on the couch. You were sitting on the fucking ground in your teepee, right? Which was the most comfortable thing you saw all day. Right. You didn't have ultra wide toe shoe box fucking running shoes. You were wearing moccasins if you had any shoes on it, right? Like, so I think that, having that little bit of, I guess, taking it back to a paleo diet. And I don't follow the paleo diet. I just kind of eat that way. Like that's.
I like a paleo approach.
Fruits
I feel
that
better
fall
with,
from a tree.
Yeah.
Anything below
well, it's
the
less
ground.
inflammatory food choices.
That's what I noticed the most.
That's my favorite diet structure. And even when I work with clients, and it kind of depends on different factors, their food allergies and sensitivities, their blood type sometimes, like depending on what issues they're dealing with and their gut issues. But I really like a paleo approach because even though there are carbs, it's the right kind of carbs. You know, you're eating like potatoes, you're eating, so it's not a lot of like inflammatory carbohydrates that are harder to break down. You're not eating any of the processed
diet,
food.
is it just a regular potato? Is that on the menu?
Sweet
or
potatoes,
is it sweet potatoes and like rooted vegetables?
There's some debates on that. I always say like potatoes are fucking fine. White rice is fine. I'm not into brown rice on a paleo.
Really?
I mean, it's just a little harder. I'll still have brown rice, but
Why is that? Is it just the caloric intake?
it's harder to digest.
Okay.
There's something with the grain in brown rice. I'm probably not articulating this well. You might need to Google this. Pull that up on that screen. But yeah, it's just.
I mean, that's the selling point of brown rice, right? Because it doesn't taste as good as white rice.
It's lower glycemic.
Okay.
So it's less sugar, essentially. Less glucose, essentially, that is being converted when you have it. But that's not necessarily a problem. It's like it's like when it comes to digestion and actually like just feeding your body the carbs that it needs and refueling in a way that is like kind of the least path of resistance, white rice I have found is a better option than brown rice.
All right, I can still crush it when I go to sushi because like eating nigiri is, or not nigiri, but just sashimi is. For me, it's a little much sometimes. It's like I love the fucking rice at sushi, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh, I'm such a fan of rice. But yeah, I like a paleo approach. I should do more research on the carnivore. I am such a carnivore, but I'm like, I still love a mix of plant-based foods as well.
Well, I think people need to be careful. I think not everything, and you can probably attest to this, that might not be the right fit for everybody. I'm not saying it is.
Totally.
It was the right fit for me.
Some people have an amazing result from carnivore.
I also did mine very, very clean. I didn't eat one steak from the grocery store because, believe it or not, the steak that you're buying from the butcher at King Soopers is washed in a red dye to make it bright red.
Ugh. Yes.
There's additives. It could
so
have been.
Where do you get yours from? A local butcher, or like
I mostly eat wild game.
Yeah. Nice.
Probably, God, right now, probably only 60% of my diet. But when I was doing this, it was probably a good like 75%. But then I found, wild game is very, very lean. So I would have to cook it in like beef tallow or have some bacon with it or something like that. Or I kind of found myself, it was crazy. These doctors that I was working with, Dr. Castro and Sean Baker, and I'd be glad to tell you and share all the data that I have with you of what it did to me at a later point, but so you can understand a little bit more about it. But and I still have a ways to go with it. Like I'm still like kind of trying to figure it out. But anyways, what I did, 100 days, nothing but meat, no seasoning, no fucking butter, that's not true. I use ghee butter.
Yeah, I love ghee.
But just animal products, beef tallow, eggs, chicken, fish.
Whitney, I thought he was dying. I'd see him once or twice a week, and I walk in, I'm like, dude, what the are you okay?
I literally lost 70 pounds.
It was so radical, and it was so fast.
Wow.
And I would see, it was like every couple of days I go, dude, you all right? And he's just like, I feel amazing. And I'm like,
I was like the coolest.
Nothing
You're
fit,
like, you're wasting away.
Nothing fit right. Like
well,
it was like
that's amazing.
He was racing. He was racing his ability to go out shopping.
The biggest issue I had,
winning.
and the doctors told me this was going to happen. Like a lot of that weight that I lost was muscle mass.
Right.
Because your body is going to eat muscle over fat, I guess. And they were like, unless you're in the gym deadlifting 8 hours a day, you're going to lose muscle mass.
Yes.
So like, let's start doing some like body scans and let's actually see what you're losing. So I know for a fact what I lost was muscle mass.
Was it? Interesting.
I also lost fat. Like I lost inches, pounds. My blood pressure went down.
Well, when you're following a diet like that, it helps you get into ketosis, which is one of like, that's what my Brain Activate product helps you get into ketosis, the healthy fats. So there's certain avenues that will help you get into ketogenic state, which is more of a fat burning state. But it's interesting that you lost a lot of muscle. I didn't actually think about that with the carnivore diet.
I guess your body just thinking about it, like your body goes after what is the most nutrients rich fuel, right? So muscle was they were kind of explaining to me, if you don't maintain it, like if you don't maintain your muscle. So I stopped taking all my supplements too, like creatine, all the shit that I was taking. Like I was taking all kinds of crap. Like,
were you training?
I was I just focused on the diet. Yeah. Because, man, it made me feel like shit for the first like 40 days. Like just doing that straight meat. And mentally, I'm more proud of myself than anything, right? Because mentally,
you could commit.
Yeah, it was the first time I had ever committed to something like that, food wise. Especially, and you know, it's hard traveling too. I had to make that commitment. I was still kind of on the road a little bit, and it was like
that is hard.
Trying to go to a hotel and like cook a steak. How the fuck do I do this? Like, I don't even have a microwave in here, you know? Like, this is some bougie ass hotel that has a fucking refrigerator and a wet bar.
George Foreman?
And it's like all the M&Ms and fucking, yes. I would like go to like a local Target and like, dude, Whole Foods is the fucking saving grace. Like,
right? The deli, that little
like. The butcher.
Oh,
have you been to the one in Vegas or like the one in Austin? No. If you go to the butcher, they have like smoked meat and they're like.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's incredible. But anyways, so I did that for 100 days. And then with the doctors that I was working with, between the body scans and we did a SpectraCell. So we got my diet dialed in. I was kind of gauging it. Like I found out like chicken and eggs wasn't as satisfying. Like eggs made me feel like shit for some reason, which is a bummer because I love eggs. And it was like another thing on the menu. But if I just ate wild game for 2 days, elk, deer, for like 2 days straight, and then had a ribeye like every third day, I felt fucking the best I ever felt.
Now, let me ask you this, because you're getting rid of all the vegetables and the fiber, right? You're not getting enough fiber. Did you have like digestive issues at the beginning to acclimate to?
I thought I was going to, and I thought it was going to be, to just be blatantly blunt and TMI, right? I thought it was going to be constipation.
Right.
It was the exact opposite.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. That's like
to
always
the point
been
where it's
my
like,
big
shit,
objective.
do I need a diaper? Because I was like, when I had to go, I had to like literally fucking run to the restroom. I was like, this is coming on. Like, and it was crazy. And that was only the first 40 days. So I don't know if it was toxins leaving my body.
Right.
And if I was eating beef, I was ordering it from a local ranch or getting it locally that was grass-fed and grain-finished. And like, so there's no bullshit in it. It's not like what you buy at the grocery store.
Definitely depends on like the quality of
I really think it's preservatives in food.
Right.
I really think it is. But what made me feel the best was the wild game. And there's no nutritional facts on that, right? Like, you don't know. Like,
right. You're getting,
yeah, you barely know what it weighs when you pull out the steaks.
You hunt for your own meat. Nice.
Yeah. So I was eating stuff that I harvested myself, which has been kind of a goal of mine for a long time. It's like, if I could just sustain myself and live off of this. Yeah. Like now I kind of know. Yeah.
You are now untouchable in terms of like survival, and I love that.
Maybe.
Still
got to run away from fucking predators or whatever, you know? Like, but yeah, no, I think that just made me feel the best. And from a nutrient standpoint, so I want this to be very clear when I'm talking about this. When I went in and had the SpectraCell, they attributed...
Wait, now what is SpectraCell?
So it's a full blood panel that it tests you for every vitamin deficiency that you might have, every vitamin and hormones as well. So it does testosterone,
so just like a full lab work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have the full couple reports that I did it 3 times, and all 3 times the only vitamin that I was deficient in the entire time, not all 3 times, because I started supplementing them in after the second time to just make sure I was back to a baseline, was vitamin D B12.
Interesting, which is a very common deficiency.
And I took some chloroquine. I guess it helps to absorb zinc. I started taking zinc, but there was a little bit of low testosterone, but my testosterone numbers went up on the carnivore diet.
Okay.
I think it's just my age, and I'm very, very skeptical about just going to get the TRT. I'm really trying to avoid that.
Just like natural
because
ways
I think
to
it's a
boost
lifelong commitment, right?
Yeah.
For most guys.
I mean, it is. And there's no shame in the game. Like I always tell my male clients, I'm like, if you need hormone replacement therapy, like get it. I mean, it will game change. However, there are some lifestyle changes and modifications with your diet and supplementation that can work with your body as an adaptogenic to help create the levels that you need on its own instead of having to rely on that. So like maybe let's try a trial of that first to see how much we can move the needle for your T levels before you go down that route.
Yeah, I guess that's where I want to get to where I want to be physically. And it was funny, the doctors that I work with, like they work with pro athletes and they work with a multitude of different people, but they were like, what's your athletic goal? And I've never been asked that. I mean, other than like playing like high school sports, like I never really excelled at sports
Just
past the high school level.
Like, what do you
like
want
I was
to be able
always
to
a
do?
hobbyist at jiu-jitsu or a hobbyist at boxing or Muay Thai or whatever I was doing. It was always just kind of like, I never was pursuing it like Chris does, right, as a career.
Right.
So they were like, what's your athletic goal? And I was like, fucking, I don't know, dude. Like
I just want to look good.
So, yeah, I think that I was like, I genuinely just wanted longevity in life.
Yeah.
Right? So, to be around longer for my kids. That was the whole reason.
Well, congratulations on losing 70 pounds. That's a huge feat.
Well, it's the exact opposite of what my primary doctor would have told me. Like I had to go seek out my own doctors, pay them outside of my insurance.
Yes.
Because anytime that you're in that cycle, you know what they wanted to do to me? They wanted me to cut out red meat, cut out salt.
Right.
And put me on blood thinners, basically, right? To bring my blood pressure down.
I know.
You know what I did to fix my problem
with opposite things.
Yeah. The only other thing that I was supplementing during that was I was using those Element salt packets.
Oh, yeah. Electrolytes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And just doing 2 of those a day. Yeah. And that was honestly what got me through
trace minerals, I think, can solve so many problems. But like, I love it when people are like, cut out the salt. Like,
hydration's huge too, right?
Yeah. Oh, hydration is huge. And
there's a bottle of water there for you too, by the way.
Mineral deficiencies. Mineral deficiencies. You're like, hydrate.
Yeah.
I'll stick with it, Jen. Just kidding. I am all health and fitness.
Yeah, I know. We could do a whole podcast about that, and I don't want to dive off too awful much, but God, I totally lost my train of thought.
No, I think that trying what works for you, and I think everybody has a different approach based on their own biochemistry, and what works for you isn't necessarily going to work for somebody else. But I love to hear these success stories of just like you went down a certain path, you committed, and you actually had a lot of success with it.
The craziest part is all the fad diets that I've tried, all the bullshit, like even the keto diet, like I had results with that, but at some point it was like my wife, God bless her, man. She was a prima ballerina, is built like a bombshell. I mean, she's incredible. Like, I'm the luckiest guy in the world that she even said yes to me. Like, luckily she liked fat biker roadies, right? Like, so I'm lucky. But you know, she always tried to follow whatever like diet stuff that I was trying to do or whatever. So we were on a ketogenic diet for quite a while, you know, but it was like, at one point, you're sitting there eating like a keto cheesecake that's just packed full of like fucking chemicals
just
and
cream
like,
cheese.
oh my God, dude. It's like,
I know there's a lot
that is not good
of
for
the
you.
trends that are terrible for you, actually. Yeah, terrible for you. Like the replacement meats. And like that shit is awful for your body. Like you cannot break that down, some of this stuff.
Well, and I think I was getting most of my micronutrients from the wild game because it's so packed in
so
nutrients. Like
dense.
some of these doctors that I was talking to, they were like, that is the best meat that you can eat possible. and organ meat too. So I was doing a little bit of
Liver
livers and
stuff.
heart and
So
stuff
you
like that, too.
really acquired a taste and a palate for this stuff, because that's hard when that's the only option you have of things to eat. And like that is
I had to reacquire a palate for it. I realized what it did to my body fuel wise.
yeah.
But that's what I grew up on as a kid, because we were
Yeah.
pretty poor. So if we wanted to eat meat, and growing up right here,
Yeah.
there was abundance of elk,
See, I
but
grew
like
up
we
in-
couldn't afford steak.
Right. I grew
know
up
what
in
I mean?
Idaho. My dad was a big hunter, and I grew up on venison and elk and, sometimes bear meat. And so I acquired a taste for wild game, but it has to be prepared in a certain way. So it's interesting when you say with that carnivore diet, you could not even really have like seasoning or spices. Like that's intense. And then the liver meats and the organ meats is like, you really have to be committed.
But I wouldn't eat like beef liver. Not a fucking chance.
Yeah.
I don't like beef liver. I've
No.
had it before. I don't care if you cook it in onions and a ton of oil or
I've tried.
But like an
I like
elk
it in
liver,
capsules now. I'm just like, whatever.
I think there's something different. Like I was trying to explain this to my buddy Donnie when he was on, and I think he understood it. And I've tried to explain it a couple times on the podcast. You have this weird connection when you actually take a life. Like it's not, unfortunately, a lot of people that don't understand hunting or have never done it or have never been around it, they view it as it's a trophy bloodlust
Right.
type of like
Barbaric.
type
Totally.
thing. But for me, there's much more of a connection. I'm not saying that it's not for some people, but 99% of the people and tons of guests that I've had sit across from me,
You
at
have
this very
respect for the
table,
life.
they have more respect for that animal's life than
Totally.
somebody that is, buying their meat from the grocery store or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, I don't let any of it go to waste. But I think also like I wouldn't eat somebody else's deer that they harvest unless they were like a personal friend.
Really?
Like I love giving mine away.
Yeah.
But part of it is knowing that I
You
provided it.
did this.
I
Yeah.
cleaned it. I took care of it properly.
Yeah.
So I guess I only eat wild game meat from people that I trust that are taking care of it
Right.
the right way.
Yeah. Totally.
Because it can get tainted if it's not, like if it's left in the sun for too long,
Right.
or if it's like the beef industry is very controlled, right? Like they know
there's regulations around.
these animals were built to eat, right? So
Right.
that's why they have a lot of fat. That's why they taste good. Like
Right.
it's down to a science to where they, to get really blunt, they die in a very humane way.
Right.
Then they're butchered and kept at a certain temperature and dry aged. And
Right.
like you can go down this path where you can go in and buy a dry aged ribeye that cost you $1,000,
Yeah.
or Wagyu beef that's the cows are fed beer and massaged every day. So it tastes so
What a
fucking
life.
good, you know what I mean? But the wild game, which in turn makes it less nutritious than wild game. Wild game is like living
most-
in the high alpine in the summer months and eating
They're
nothing but
athletic.
wildflowers. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's also what they consume. So like if you eat an elk or a deer like out of Utah, sometimes they can be very sagey. So it's a lot of what's in their diet. So if a deer's primary diet is acorns, they taste amazing. So I hunt them in certain regions too. Like
that's interesting.
There's a reason why I don't hunt outside of Colorado too. Like you can taste the difference. Like
Totally.
if you eat a bear the primary diet for that bear is trash,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to taste horrible. But if
Yeah.
you eat a bear that eats nothing but apricots that are grown on the western slope,
Yes.
like have you ever had a Palisade
berries.
peach since you've been here?
No.
Oh my God.
Palisade peach.
So going up to like Granby or something, like all the little peach stands that are on the side of the road,
Yes.
best peaches in the world. Fuck
love
Georgia.
it.
I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to start a fucking turf war
Colorado
here.
peaches. We're starting the campaign.
Palisade peaches. So they're grown on the western slope, and it's just like, it's a bit more of like a nectarine-ish type.
I love that.
They're so good.
I love
so good.
Colorado. I'm so glad that I ended up here and made the move from Los Angeles
Hell
because
yeah.
there's so much to explore here. It's so beautiful. It is like so incredible. I'm really Denver has gotten a little bit of a LA 2.0 in certain ways, with like a little bit of some of the reasons why I left LA. But
We'll move up here. It's a different world.
Evergreen is stunning. It is so pretty. It is like a different.
You have fucking cool neighbors.
World. Yeah, exactly.
Some of them, not all of them.
They're probably listening right now.
No, it's funny. We don't really have that big of a local audience. Like most of our audience is like a lot of rural people in Washington and like
fun.
A ton of people in California.
I love that.
But all over the world, like we have listeners in like Italy that
Isn't
send me
that
like
wild?
fly fishing photos and some shout out.
Isn't that wild?
Go fly fishing over
like
there.
the reach that you can get, and then actually hearing from the people like internationally, and you're like, wow, you're like listening and paying attention to like anything I'm saying. Like that's crazy.
You know what's crazy is we just started transcribing the episodes, so it's like full transcription.
Nice.
And we have some hearing impaired people that are listening.
Oh, that's amazing.
Or reading, right?
That is,
which is fucking. That is so cool.
That is so
to me.
important too, because podcasting is one of those mediums. Like I always, for the hearing impaired, I always make sure to have captions on every single story and all of my reels for the most part. And I just think it's like that is such a big deal because there's.
God, I never thought about reels that way. Is there not a way to turn on closed captioning?
You can. Well, yeah. Some people will turn it off because it kind of like will fumble up the look of the video. But for the most part,
we
I
are
try
not
to
using
have
that
captions.
right now. But I didn't think about
you
the
can turn
hearing
that
impaired.
on. Yeah,
like that's purposely why we have the entire episode transcribed now, and the reason why we do a blog is because a lot of people are taking in the podcast that way.
I love that,
and they were like, "Thank you so much for doing that," because
because so many podcasts probably
it costs
don't.
money too.
Yeah,
like I think a lot of people aren't.
Yeah,
we've been pretty fortunate. To have the help that we've had.
Good sponsors.
Yeah, shout out. And like we're damn lucky on that. But I think I didn't even think about that on Reels.
Yeah.
So like if you're hearing impaired, you can't turn on a button to hear what they're saying, huh?
There might be a feature if you have a certain setting, but I know that it's like we purposely try to go in and make sure that all of our reels have captions.
Is there an app or something for these people that like where they could transcribe? Because
I'm
like
sure
now with
some
AI
feature,
and all that sort of thing, I think you can transcribe anything, right?
There's gotta be.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. But I mean, do you do like the blog post where you transcribe and you put it as a blog?
Yeah, you'll see when actually, Jeremy, if you go to our website, and we're going to do the same thing.
It's way
for
better
your
for
episode.
SEO too, right?
All the way on the left, the mountainside.
There it is. I did have it.
Yeah, and then go to episodes, and then just click on any. You can click on Charles that we just had on. Actually, don't click on that. I'll take him to click on watch the podcast. So this is the cool thing about our website is it's a one-stop shop. So if you want to watch the YouTube, it's right there. If you want to listen to it, it's right there. If you want to check out other episodes, it's right there. Keep scrolling down. All the shorts are on this page.
Nice.
And then also keep scrolling down. If you hit, so also highlights. Normally we don't put the highlights on, but we did for this one. But if you hit that little plus sign right there, Jeremy, there's a whole little blog written. Scroll up a little bit more. Down, it's in between the highlight. So it's embracing the voice of hunters.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so there's a whole, and it's not
That's such a
just
good
word for word verbatim of what the
yeah
what we said on the podcast. So it's kind of cool. Something new that we're doing.
I love that.
We're trying to be
It makes a difference.
better and different than just a podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit more.
It's smart business. I like it.
So I guess diving back into fitness, and I want to get into your boxing career, which I think is fucking badass. Let's go. I watched your last fight, which was awesome. It was cool seeing you guys go over to was it Ireland?
Yeah, Dublin.
Super cool. The first one was in London.
Yes.
I missed that one for some reason.
It's okay.
Totally
I
over the
lost.
head.
You're fine.
Okay. Learning experience, right?
It's better to watch the second one.
But I guess in your fitness approach and your diet approach and hormones and all that sort of stuff are with your clients, and you being around so many pro athletes, like training at Landau Performance, training with Eric Tilley.
Yes.
being
Shout out Eric.
Yeah, shout out Eric. Fucking love that guy.
He's the best.
And then, having Chris
in my corner,
as a partner, right?
Yes.
Like, that's crazy. So you're just surrounded by all these athletes. Are you taking that approach with people, like pick an athletic goal and let's sculpt your body to that? Or is it just like overall?
It's more like, what is your goal? Mm-hmm. Is it athletic? Is it physique? I can help you regardless. So I have a lot of people that come to me with more physique goals, which, coming from the bodybuilding world, I know how to move the needle when it comes to body composition. I perfected that. So I love to do that. With athletic training, there's certain programs that I can put them on, but I'm not going to call myself an expert like Eric Telly or like a Lauren Landau when it comes to certain athletic
those are like performance coaches.
Right? Which is why I hired them, and I hire the coaches that I'm a big believer in hiring coaches and hiring mentors and investing in your education in all the areas that you are not an expert in, because we all have our strengths, but we all could be way more efficient if we just hire the right people.
Well, and I think it takes a good coach or a good doctor to tell you, you know what? I'm not the best at this, but this person is.
Absolutely.
So go see them.
Totally.
So I think it's a culmination of like taking different angles from different people, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And ultimately, you just want to get the person to where they want to be. So it's been really fun. It's been very rewarding to work with clients from literally all over the world, which has been wild to even be like, what? Where do you live? Like, how do you even know about me? Like, it's crazy. So
is there any language barriers with working with some of these clients?
Not really for the most part. I don't know that they would approach me if there was like a huge language barrier. But no, I've been able to be really fortunate with the people that I've worked with. But yeah. It's fun. It's different than working with people one-on-one in the trenches, like where I started my training career, because you don't know the day in and day out of like what they're dealing with, what their, mental health is like, what kind of stresses are they dealing with.
This is a good segue right into that, because that was kind of my next question is like, I don't think people realize how much stress will fuck up your hormones. Your
stress is the number
motivation,
one halt of progress in a physical. Well, it's stress and sleep, I would say. If there was two things you could optimize, because people are just like so focused on, well, am I in a calorie deficit and am I getting my workouts in? Yes, that's great. However, what is your sleep like? What is your stress levels like? How are you managing that? Because that's also carrying into your hormones in your gut and the brain health. And so it's like there's so many layers to getting to where you want to go outside of just your diet and your workouts. That's why, I call my programs Find Your Fit, because it's so much bigger than just what you're doing in the gym and what you're doing in the kitchen. Those are huge parts of it, but there's so much more to it in a big holistic picture of you as a person and all of the chemicals in your system that are going to allow you to either reach your goals or not.
I might need to have a one-on-one with you.
Yeah, let's have a call.
How do people approach you? Or is it you have a website, right? And then you basically book a consult, or is there?
Yeah, well, they can either sign up for the programs there. Just some people like to just get the program, start working through it. They'll powwow with me on coaching
Jeremy,
calls.
see if you can pull this up. What is it?
Find Your Fit with Whit is my findyourfitwithwhit.com is my fitness programs and my diet programs. WhitneyJohns.com is my, that's
it's like your personal.
You can find like my supplements on there. You can also find the fitness programs if you just
this is where you sell the brain supplement.
Yeah, this is like my main website.
What is it called?
Oh, this isn't the site that you were talking about.
If you click on fitness though, right there, it will take you to the personalized diet and training programs. Okay. Or you can book a coaching call there. But that is, some people like to consult with me first, obviously, and then we get into your goals and stuff. But the programs are amazing, and then you're in a group, you either have a group approach where you can join my group of clients and then, I go live and I answer questions, or you have access via email to me, or book a coaching call and we powwow once a month, every other week, whatever is good
I love
for
your
you.
approach. I think your approach is the right one, right? Because some people just specialize in diet. There's other things that go along with that, right? Like
Totally.
if Dr. Sean Baker didn't tell me, like, dude, if you don't lift every day for 8 hours, you're basically going to lose muscle mass no matter what on this diet.
Wow.
Like, thank you for being
8 hours.
upfront with me.
Yes.
Like that's important to me. Like, don't bullshit me,
Totally.
Like, don't sell me your,
Like, give me the right expectation.
Right.
So I can manage.
tell me the negatives of it too.
Totally.
Right. So I love your approach that it's 360, right? Because you're not only helping them with diet and fitness, hormones, mental health as well, right?
Yes.
Or things to enhance your mental health. You're not a
Correct.
psychiatrist. You're not.
Correct. And,
They're
I
not
can
crying to you
I can
about
give
their
tools.
husband's
I mean, you'd be
issues,
surprised.
right?
Sometimes. I'm like, fuck him.
Exactly. You are helping them then.
But yeah, no, I think it has to be a 360 approach. So it has been challenging as an entrepreneur to figure out how to work with people on the online space to still be able to access them in that 360 approach, because not everybody either has the budget to access the entire 360, or they don't have the attention span, or they don't use the tools that I'm giving them. So it's hard because the perfectionist in me wants to be like, put every single person through the exact ringer and regimen, but it's fine. The reason why I call my programs Find Your Fit with Wit is like, find what works for you and what's actually feasible for your lifestyle and for your, for your habits, for your work schedule, for your meal planning. If maybe you aren't a meal planner, you're not going to do your meal prep
Which
yourself.
is super important, because I think people get all pumped up and jacked up, and then
They want to
you
be
get
perfect,
a week in,
and then they're like burned out because they're like, this is not
Or they gain
sustainable at
weight.
all. Yeah, because they're stressing about it.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, I'd rather have you start small and imperfect with 3 short workouts a week, and if you only have time to eat 3 times a day, you don't have time to eat 6 times a day like a bodybuilder, cool. Start with 3 times a day. And then I can tell you what your meals need to be consisting of in terms of what your calories need to look like, how much protein you need. Like, a big thing that I find with so many of my clients is that they're vastly under consuming protein, the right levels of protein. To move the needle, especially females, because they're like starving themselves, thinking that they're dieting because they want to lose weight, and they're actually really counteracting their progress.
What is kind of the math equation that you use to calculate protein consumption? Is it based on goals and body weight, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Goals and body weight, and there's a specific calculator, and I'm not a math person, to be honest, but I like, don't ask me to do math right now.
So whether you're looking to maintain, what would be some of the parameters of that? And like, could you give us like just an example? I think this is super interesting.
If you're trying to be in a calorie, so there's maintenance calories, and that's going to depend on what your stats look like. Maintenance calories, if you're in a place where you need to be building muscle, like right now, for instance, we're doing a booty challenge where we're trying to build our glutes right now, right? So I have a group of clients that are doing this specific booty challenge. Well,
You're contributing to my favorite part of Instagram.
Exactly.
Edit.
Doing God's work.
Yeah.
But that means you need to be in a calorie surplus of, anywhere from 250 to 500 calories a day. So then you need to be in a calorie, what is the opposite of why can't I think
Deficiency?
right now? No, a calorie surplus and a calorie deficiency.
Yes.
I'm like, why can't I think of this word right now? So you're going to have to be in a calorie deficit if you want to be cutting, shredding. So there's different phases. Are we starting you on a bulk building phase where we're building muscle? Are we keeping you at maintenance, or are we really trying to shred you up? So it really just depends on those factors. And then it's really educational for people to really see like, okay, what am I actually consuming on a normal day-to-day basis? You track your calories for one day and it's like, oh my gosh, I am not hitting anywhere near my protein goals. I have way over on my carbs, not enough healthy fats, whatever the case may be. And it's just good to give people the tools so that whether they're working with me or they're just working on their own and trying to hit these markers for themselves, they actually now have the skill to do it.
Well, that's what I wonder with the carnivore thing that I was doing, is if I was actually getting enough protein, maybe that's why I was losing muscle, because nobody gave me an actual like
meal plan.
You need to
Were they just telling you like you just need to only eat meal or
Sean
eat meat?
Baker, fucking psycho. And this guy, pull up Sean Baker's Instagram. This guy's like 57 years old and built like a brick shit house, man. This guy is fucking jacked.
67?
Yeah,
or 57?
He just broke the world record in rowing too, like the rowing machine, something world record. Like
that's crazy.
But anyways,
so he's kind of become like the face of carnivore.
He's one of the faces for sure. I think
CrossFit
I like
guy?
his approach much more than Saul Palladino. No, he's just
more functional training.
Yeah, I think athletic train. I mean, he is an athlete, but his backstory is crazy too. Like he was a ER surgeon in Afghanistan and Iraq during the height of like the war, like, you know, amputations and fucking saving guys' lives. But the guy is, at this age, if I can be doing all this, I'd be super happy. But this is kind of, he's using fitness, and the reason why he's so hell-bent on this is he's doing all kinds of blood work. He's using himself as kind of a
guinea pig
for the carnivore diet, and he is like literally not broken the carnivore diet in like 4 or 5 years now or something. Like I think he's
is the diet structure just eat meat and that's it? There's no guidelines in terms of like calories or protein intake, or is it just?
I'm sure that there is. I didn't diet. I did some quick consults with him, which he was very gracious, and I truly appreciate everything. Him taking the time to do it with me because of the podcast, and he's also we have some mutual connections at Colorado Craft Beef. He's one of the owners of them, and we've had them on. They're a Colorado company. Awesome spot to get beef if you're looking to get something that's not just a cellophane wrapped steak at the store.
Right.
This is the next level.
Machine.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I think he broke it right here or
Probably
something.
Did. Look at it.
This is how you feel on the carnivore diet. This is the Kool-Aid man I was telling you about. So yeah, he broke some world record, but anyways, I think that he's using fitness, and then look at these steaks that he eats are fucking massive. And he's gotten a ton of hate, and you know, a lot of people say that he's using steroids and all kinds of other stuff, but I believe that he's not. And I like his approach much more than like, what was the Liver King guy, and Paul Saladino, I think, is the other carnivore guy that is kind of, I just like Sean's approach with it. He's using science to back it up, and he talks about cholesterol and what your normal doctor would tell you, and you know, he breaks it all down. Like,
love it.
Yeah, breaks it down hard and heavy. But he told me, like right out of the gate, he was like, okay, you're going to start this, you're going to do this for 100 days, then we're going to do that, and then let's just see where your baseline's at. But he's like, I want you to get up tomorrow morning, eat a dozen eggs and a 1 pound ribeye.
Sure.
And I was like,
for breakfast, simple Tuesday.
that's what he eats for breakfast.
That's crazy. A dozen eggs.
But maybe there's a reason why he's built like that. So
literally,
I always just was calculating it with my body weight. I was trying to get, which was hard because I didn't want to eat all the time because I wasn't like starving. But when I was fucking hungry, it was go
well,
time.
they say, you know, like typically I like to stay around 1 gram to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight that you have, right? So that's hard to do when you're a big guy.
Oh, well, I was 320 at that point.
Right. So
and
you
I went
weren't
down to
getting
like 255, but I just ate about
But you also needed to be in a deficit because you were trying to. So yeah, it's so interesting. And, you know, it's one of those things too, like even with my own research as a professional that's been doing this for a long time, is like diet trends are changing all the time. Research is changing all the time. So it's really important, I think, to stay open-minded because, like, for instance, with the carnivore diet, I'm like, when I hear about the carnivore diet, I'm like, okay, yes, ketogenic, more, you're staying in, I can see how there would be the benefits and the brain fog and like the cognitive benefits. However, I think, what about your digestion? What about fiber? What about, a larger array of micronutrients
too,
that you're missing? So
that's what I was getting back to with the wild game. That's what some of my doctors that were helping me, like Dr. Castro that was helping me with the SpectraCell stuff, he attributed me not having some of these micronutrients deficiencies that somebody would have just if they were just eating steak.
Because of the wild game.
Because of the wild game, because it's
and
so much
liver,
more nutrients.
The organ meats.
Yeah, it's so much more nutrients than just like a store-bought steak. That's why it tastes different. It tastes more earthly.
Doing carnivore in that way versus somebody who's just getting a Safeway,
if
not
you're just
grass-fed steak.
80-20 ground beef, like that is not carnivore.
Right.
That might be a recipe for you.
Just getting fat.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
I love
it might just be they make the best burgers. That's all I eat. I mean, it's great. But I'm saying if that was the only thing that you ate, like you might have some serious vitamin deficiencies or hormone deficiencies.
Yes, and you need to supplement at that point. But I do think like for just like with any of my clients, what I would tell them is this is why I have a variety of different diet approaches for my diet plans, as there could be anything from, a vegan diet, if that's your thing, to keto, to carnivore. It's like I can work within whatever framework works for you because every body is different. So I think that it's really important when you are working with a trainer or a coach that they are open-minded and that they are flexible, because that is super important. So I think it's good to try. It's just good. It's like my experimental phase that I went on, my little journey. It's like you got to find what works for you.
Let's go.
Figure out who you are.
Speaking of that, as we're sitting here consuming alcohol, what's your take on alcohol? And like, my biggest thing with alcohol is no matter how much I consume, and I'm very like, I've turned into an old man with this. I'm like, I only drink tequila. I only drink good tequila. And I only drink that only when I stick to it. Right. I found if I start bouncing around with all kinds of different alcohols and mixers and shit, I start to feel more like shit. But alcohol in general, I love alcohol. I love what it does for me cognitively when I'm consuming it. But the after effects are fucking horrible. A hangover, a really bad hangover.
Especially as you get older. I've gotten to this point where I'm like, man, I just cannot take 5 drinks like I used to. It's fucking lame. Yeah. But like, I do think that there should be some exercise and control around how often it is consumed and the quantity that is consumed, and also what you are mixing it with and the types. So I think there's certain, and again, everyone's different, but for me, it's like the dark whiskeys, the darker liquors are a lot more sugar heavy and a lot more sugar content.
Beer, like margaritas.
I can't do beer. Mixers with like the super sugary mixers are just like, I gotta stay away from it, because not only does it give me the worst hangover, but also then the after effects of just what it does to my body, my glucose levels, the fluff, the extra, like it don't feel good. So I stick to either like Blanco or like I'm a big gin girl, but like I'll do Blanco tequila, or I'll, I like wine depending on the region that it's from and stuff. I think it's important, like the type of liquor that you're choosing, but also to like limit the consumption in terms of like how often. There's actually some interesting studies that are painful to read about even one drink a day causes a lot of brain shrinkage, right? So if you're like are a person who shrinkage. So like there are some heart health benefits that they've found with like wine, like a glass of wine a day can actually have some anti-inflammatory effects for your heart, depending on the type and whatever. However, there are a lot of studies now that are saying brain shrinkage can happen with consistent daily chronic use of alcohol, even if it's just one drink, which sucks. Nobody wants to hear that. But I think it's good to exercise. Does the brain actually,
this is a dumb question, does the brain actually shrink, or does cognitive function
shrink? Like the actual size And because what also happens is very dehydrating. Like your brain has to be hydrated. And so it's really interesting and it's unfortunate. It's one of the reasons why, though, I have kind of like I love to have a drink, and I'll probably do it like a couple times a week, you know. I'm more of a stoner, to be honest. I'm more of like a daily chronic THC user or microdosing with psilocybin. That is more how I feel better. Alcohol, I also come from like a long line of alcoholics. So I have learned to be really kind of controlled about my consumption. There's going to be some comments here like, that's not what I heard. I mean, in my past, maybe not. But like now I have learned to have some serious boundaries around just how often. And even with now like my THC consumption, I have learned to okay, there are some cognitive benefits that can be...
As I pour myself another drink.
There are some cognitive...
You need more ice?
I might. Okay. I have some actually. Well,
Jeremy, maybe. Can you hook us up? Thanks, brother.
Bartender over here.
As we're talking about alcohol, I do think that it's good to even like exercise some self-control around that. Like recently I just started being like, okay, I do neurofeedback brain treatments too. I've
been purposely avoiding. I love Andrew Huberman. I don't know if you listen to Huberman
His
Labs
podcast.
At all.
He's great. He is
incredible.
Great. Yeah.
But I've been avoiding the one on alcohol because I don't want to listen to it.
I know.
Like,
it's hard to listen to. It's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. And I think even just having the awareness of like, okay, maybe I'm not ready for that message. And maybe that's not what I want to put into exercise right now into my life. But knowing that it's something to be on the radar at some point. Even with my THC use, it was like I was having my on my brain scans for my neurofeedback treatments. They were like, well, we're seeing some like cognitive decline in your frontal lobe, which is kind of what we're trying to work towards that. So maybe go to every other day on THC use. And I'm like, fuck, I really don't want to hear that. But also I'm like, I think it's also anything that you're using chronically, I think habitually, it's like we use them for a certain reason. And I think there are definitely benefits because it helps you relax, whatever your vices are. They help you relax. It helps you get out of your head, whatever. But I also think
I think you just got to live life. That's part of that stress. Like if you just live this regimented, like I'm very much, for me now, it's if the setting is right. So if it's a celebration or a something like that, then yeah, I'm going to have a fucking piece of birthday cake, you know?
Totally.
Like,
it's the stress of deprivation that's worse for you.
Yeah, I think
sure.
so.
It is.
And I think socially, I think going even deeper, I think being socially connected is a huge thing too.
Oh, totally.
Like as much as I didn't want to drink today, the moment that you cracked that bottle, I was like, all right, here we go.
As much as I didn't want to drink.
Well, I really don't unless my guests do now. Like I don't go to the bars or I just don't have fucking time to. Like,
right.
You know, and
I think
choose to spend my time differently.
Well, it's like you said, reading the room of like, is this a reward? Am I going to sit home and drink by the way,
I'm
myself?
Enjoying having this drink with you. I don't want you to take that the wrong way.
No, I'm all great. Make me feel like shit. No, I think that it's important to just be mindful about your consumption, whatever it is. Like for me, it's like, okay, I was starting to use THC every single day in excess, which was great because it helps my brain just get out of like, I have a hard time turning off because again, I can't really, because with my work, there's always something that I could be doing, right? So it really did help me get out of that. But then it's like, okay, it stopped feeling as rewarding, right? So there gets to be a point of diminishing returns with our vices, right? So if you're just drinking every day just to drink because it's a habit, it stops being enjoyable, first of all. And then there's a lieu of like the effects that it's having on your biochemistry that might not be as rewarding. So I think it's important to just be like, do I need that right now? Or like, could I maybe just wait till tomorrow? Like maybe space a day in between my consumption. And I think it's just good to...
I think that's a good habit too. If you use anything habitually, whether it's ice
Sugar,
cream,
it could be
alcohol,
anything, yeah.
right? Like it's gonna have a negative
Even so,
effect
like
on-
especially like social media or
Oh,
fucking
fucking
phones.
A,
It's
yeah.
like, do I need to fucking mindlessly scroll and like go down doom scrolling and now just feeling worse about myself as I scroll down my fucking Instagram feed?
Do you get that feeling?
Oh yeah, everybody does.
How do you get that feeling?
I
Like,
mean, I think everyone feels like they could either be doing more or be more
Sure.
or be better in whatever fucking way.
I could see that.
And I think there's constantly, no matter who you are and what you're built like, there's the comparison.
Here's the issue,
thing.
and this is one of my favorite quotes, and I should know who quoted this. Jeremy, you're going to have to look this up. But comparison is the thief of joy,
Oh, 100%.
right? And that's, I
And
know
there's
you've done some
always
other
someone-
podcasts and stuff like that, but for me to be genuine, I don't go and listen to any of those. I don't know how many times I've had a guest in here, and honestly, having my own podcast has ruined me listening to podcasts
Really?
because
It makes you compare.
well,
you can't help it.
that, and also I get labeled sometimes as like not being authentic, and I still get labeled like
Really?
that. Like,
That's-
oh, you're just saying what so and so did. Well, there's
like, I didn't
also a
even listen to
million
that.
fucking podcasts
Yeah.
out there. So like,
Theodore Roosevelt.
but you know, when you hear something,
Teddy
Oh.
Roosevelt.
I
love
Teddy.
Tody. Yeah,
He's the fucking goat.
that?
he's the best.
Have you ever seen him as a teenager?
no.
No.
Hold on a
let's
second.
see that.
I got it. I love showing people that.
Fuck yeah, let's go,
Hold on a
Jeremy.
second. Watch this.
This is Teddy Roosevelt is Chris's favorite historical figure
Yes.
of all time.
Probably
Didn't
one
he
of
do
mine,
like
too.
bare knuckle fights in front of like the White House lawn?
He did all kinds of badass shit. I wouldn't doubt it, but
This is what an 18-year-old used to look like.
A man.
god damn, that's
Dude,
badass,
are you joking?
dude.
Look at this
He's
dude.
fucking hard. He's just wow.
Yeah.
19
I'm sorry, 19.
years old.
that's
He was a wrestler
awesome.
and a boxer. I fucking love it.
Look at that.
Yeah, he'd spar with younger
Fucking
White House
stud.
guards. I love that. And yeah, he was an OG. I'm not a real historian. Chris has educated me on Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I'm like, who, what, when?
He's cool. He's getting a bad rap right now.
Really?
Chris is in Dublin. Who, Teddy is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Why?
fu-
Why are you
fuck
coming
it.
Well,
for
'cause
Teddy,
everyone
guys?
does.
Leave Teddy alone.
Who isn't in fucking history, man? They're all
Literally.
fucked, man. Like, it was a different world back then. We cannot hold these people in our history that built our country to the same standards as we live in today.
Totally.
Like, there's no fucking way. You can't, what do they call it? It's not shadow banning, but what do you call it? What, dead name? It's not dead naming, but
Cancel culture.
cancer culture.
Like
Yeah.
historical figures. Like
Exactly.
This is
like,
so out
this
of
is
hand.
an important. I feel like history is an important roadmap to see how we got to where we're at now.
This is
Totally.
kind
Like,
of
if
how I
you
feel
erase
when I
it-
wake up in the morning. Most of the time. Like, that's kind of how I sit through most of the day. Like, just going online.
Dude,
That's me. That's my
he's
case.
just like spread eagle.
I guarantee
I've about had it.
him at 19 would whoop
The
most.
art of manliness. I love that.
He would probably whoop most men's asses today, dude. We have gotten so soft,
Soft.
so soft. Yeah.
That's true.
So let's see here. We're coming up on 2 hours. We should really
are
end
we?
this
Okay.
like fairly soon.
Wow.
But I want to keep
Time
going if you
flies.
have a little bit of
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about boxing.
I know.
Like let's talk
boxing.
about that. I thought I saw something the other day, and I don't know if this was a spoof or not. Do you guys have a Netflix like documentary
that. Okay.
happening or something, or like what's going on with that?
So the videographer that I worked with, shout out JC, he's the goat. He's awesome. When we
Nice.
went out to Dublin, he was through mutual friends. We were training out there at SBG, where Conor McGregor's
Yeah,
gym.
legendary.
Yeah, it's so cool. And the best people out in Dublin. Like, we had just the best time. Anyways, this videographer was like, hey, I will come and vlog your whole fight day. Because at that point, I didn't have a videographer with me. It was like something I wanted to capture, but it was like Chris and Brittany, like my corners, like, can you guys get some fucking footage? So he was a godsend. He captured the whole day. He keeps like releasing some footage, more and more footage from that day. That was a joke. He put the Netflix
Fucking,
logo.
It's awesome.
And then I
love it.
I was like,
you guys should have
I
a Netflix
reposted that,
special.
and then it was beautiful. But then it was like I had so many
I was
people.
like, why the fuck is Whitney asking me about a
"Congratulations."
podcast when she has a Netflix documentary coming
I was like,
out?
okay, wait, we need to add something to the caption that says like April Fools or something because that is not exactly accurate. But no, it was.
It looked fucking legit, like the text and everything, and like
he's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
He's great.
that's
His
super
editing.
rad. So, fighting in Dublin.
Yes.
At what's the name of the arena there?
The 3 Arena in Dublin.
The 3 Arena.
Yes.
I've done a million shows there, which is fucking
Nice.
awesome.
It was
I love that
epic.
city.
Yes.
I love going to Ireland. Shout out to Grant Neal too, who's fighting in Belfast.
Yes,
Right,
they're in
this
Belfast
weekend.
right now. Chris is
Yeah,
there. He's
let's
cornering
go.
him. Yes.
I love Grant.
He's
Good, great human.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
awesome.
I can't wait to have him back.
We love Grant.
And Chris too. All those guys. Gertz is out there as well,
Yeah,
isn't he?
Gertz is there.
Yeah, fuck
Peter,
yeah.
yes.
Let's go. That's my tribe right there. So good people.
Very good people.
But what was it like fighting in that? I mean, that's an iconic spot.
Oh my
I've been
gosh.
there. The Irish, like we were talking about
Irish
this the
fight
other
fans
day.
are just so amazing. Like so high energy. The exact audience that you want to fight in front of. If you're going to
Hell
fight
yeah.
in front of anybody,
Fighting
you want
Irish.
The fucking Fighting Irish, they are here for the violence. And so it just gets you very, very hype. And at that point I had gone, so it was a tournament that I had entered into. It was a crossover. So it was like influencers and not professional fighters.
Did they approach you or what? How did
They
this,
approached me.
Yeah, okay.
And because I had been boxing just for training sake and workout sake for years. And then I had a few agents that I had worked with at the time. And one of my agents was like, hey, there's this tournament. They saw you. I don't know how they saw me or if they were just working with them at the time, but they were trying to get, the right selections for this tournament. It was going to be a pretty massive, on scale in terms of the exposure and the money that they were dumping into it and all this stuff. So it was weird because I had always wanted to get in the ring at some point, but it was but my face, do
Yeah,
I really want
part
to
of the
mess
brand,
with my
right?
face? So I had never really gotten into actual fight training, and then, but the offer was compelling, the opportunity was compelling, the money was compelling. I was like,
Plus, you have somebody in your corner that
Yes, and then it was
fought at the highest level.
Chris has fought at the highest level. He knew he had all the tools for me already laid up, the team, the coaches, him. It was just you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. And it was a huge risk because at the same time, I had an entire business that I was running at the same time that I literally had to put on hold because, I mean, the respect that I had for fighters before was amazing. Now going through a fight camp is unfounded. I'm wow, how do you people do this? As a career every day, day in and day out? It is so
Some
consuming.
Of those guys hold down full-time jobs and do it.
I know.
It's crazy.
It is wild because the amount of energy that has to just go into just the mental side of psyching yourself up every day, to go get beat up in sparring and then to be training 2 to 3 times a day and then an hour for recovery at night and the fucking mental, toll that it goes into just the psychology of your opponent and once you get it and then the social media and the trash talking. And this was actually a much more of a spectacle in terms of social media and trying to build up
I
the
do
hype.
gotta say, I am not a fan of influencer boxing. The Barstool fights and all that sort of stuff. It was fun for the first couple or whatever. I do not want to see Elon Musk fight Mark Zuckerberg.
I'm quite curious.
Yeah,
actually.
that doesn't mean I won't watch it.
Yeah.
Am I gonna watch Tyson and Paul Felder? Fuck
Hell
yeah, I
yeah.
am.
Yes.
But I am much
Jake
more
Paul.
of a realist. I feel like it should be left to the professionals.
Totally.
But I gotta say, this was it Kingpin?
Kingpin.
That put it on. Mm-hmm. From a production standpoint, they did a pretty damn good job.
They did it pretty good.
Because what I don't like about it is all the antics and all the fucking
the obnoxious shit.
Yeah, the walkouts and the fucking they kept it pretty traditional.
Yeah.
And I think that was cool. But also from an announcer's standpoint, they put real announcers in
Yeah.
that kind of knew what the fuck they were talking about. It wasn't
No, they did.
it wasn't like
They did
two
a pretty-
podcasters sitting there going like, oh, I hope her tit
Right.
pops out, or like,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? Like,
No, it was
that's
a
what I don't.
legit
I don't
production.
like the distastefulness.
And it's a
behind this,
disrespect to fighting when
Yeah.
it's done half-ass and it's done in a way.
Plus, a lot
Totally
of those
with
people
you.
aren't putting in the time. Some of these guys are like 300-pound guys that sit on a bar stool all fucking
Totally.
day, right?
And then they
Like,
have 3 days and they're like, sure, I'll take a fight. And then
Yeah.
you go out there. Well, and the one thing that I liked about the tournament format is though, like we had it was like everyone took it very seriously. Like all of these influencers, they were all going through serious training camps and really taking it. So it was like the way that it was presented, I was like, actually, okay, I could get behind this because I'm not going to go try and fight a fucking pro. First of
Was
all,
the money worth it? I'm wondering, like, is that part of the like the dangling
definitely
carrot?
the dangling carrot was a huge part of it. In addition to the exposure that it could potentially bring you, and that's why I think most of these people are motivated by is the exposure. And this was going to be on a pretty big scale. But I think that also, like for me, it was more like I felt very called to it on a soul
Well, I know
level.
why you did it because
Yeah.
we've talked about this. So I
Yes.
think that that's super cool. Is like you did it kind of as like your own personal growth and
Totally.
a personal challenge, right?
Yes, yes.
It wasn't just about
It's like
the
really
money.
just testing like my ego and my skills and all the things. But I do think
Because honestly, you left some money at the doorstep
Oh,
walking
yeah.
away from your business to go pursue this,
Oh,
right?
100%.
So like it was driven by passion,
it
which
was
is cool.
and it was like a YOLO opportunity of like, you know what, like let me dump every.
Okay,
it
I'm
was
not
like,
a kid. What's a YOLO? What is YOLO? mean?
YOLO, you only live once.
Oh shit!
You don't know
okay,
YOLO?
No, fucking,
You don't
I'm
know
fucking
YOLO?
old. Shit, I got like 10 years on your ass.
Oh my god.
You do not have 10 years.
I'm 40. I just turned 44, March 3rd.
Not quite 10 years, but
yeah.
but
Okay.
YOLO
Close
is
to it.
yeah. Anyways, you're out of touch.
I live in my own world. It's crazy.
That's good. Anyways, it was very much like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Okay, let's do it. And it turned out to be very, very cool. But yeah, the influencer boxing scene can be a little bit clown heavy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, depending.
I'm going to use the fuck out of YOLO now.
You only live once.
I'm getting my
living in
kids
like
tonight.
2015.
Yeah. I have been living that my whole fucking life. It's been my motto. I can't believe they didn't fucking call me for the trademarking. No, I love it. So what's next in the boxing world? Are you going to continue to pursue that?
you know,
I loved watching your last fight. It was fucking awesome.
It was fun. It was really fun. And then once I was like, okay, I really have to put like all my efforts back into my business because I had my team running a lot of it, but it's just not the same when you're so absent and so preoccupied and distracted. So I had an offer for a fight in February that I had to turn down, and then I actually just got an interesting call the other day. So we might see another fight. I like the idea, to be completely transparent, of getting back into a fight camp right now seems like, oh my God, it's so much fucking work, and you're just getting your ass handed to you every single week for months at a time. And but for the right opportunity, the right money. I mean, I am not going to have let's be honest, I'm not having a long-standing career in boxing. I'm 37 now, and it's not like I'm doing this professionally. So the opportunity has to make sense for me to like be able to step away in the ways that I have to. So we'll see. There's a really interesting card that might be worth it, that I might have an opportunity for. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, we're going to back you up in anything that you do. I've really enjoyed having you on. The time
Thank
is
you so
like
much for
fucking
having
flowing
me.
by. We could have gone 4 fucking hours.
I know.
Easily,
Dude, you got to come up again.
I
Yeah.
know. I would love that.
Yeah.
It'd be so rad.
So I'd like to have you and Chris on at the same
Yes.
time if you're interested in that.
I would
don't
love
know if
that.
that's
He would
like-
love that.
Okay, so
Yes.
let's do that. Let's get Chris back. I owe Chris another one too. I can't wait to get him back in here. So Chris, if you're listening to this, get your ass back from Ireland. And get your ass in here. But yeah, I think that what you're doing is amazing for people.
Thank
Where you're all over the place, but let's drop social media, website. What's the best way, though, right out of the gate to contact you if you want help with health and wellness?
So WhitneyJohns.com And you can send me an email at contact@whitneyjohns.com or follow me on Instagram, send me a DM. We are always checking the DMs at Whitney Johns. I'm on, TikTok, YouTube, we're all over the place at Whitney Johns. That's basically, that's my name.
Hell yeah. Let's go. If you're not interested in fitness stuff, follow Whitney regardless, man. Like, you're a great follow. You have awesome content. We have so many mutual friends, and I loved having you here.
Thank you so
great to have a
much.
badass female in here.
Hell yeah.
It's good to have some female influence, and thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. If you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.